Chapter 588. Yang Ming, why is it him again? Black Widow muttered to herself, I have fought with him and I don't think he is very powerful. Fought with him? Both He Shu and Feng Dao were stunned. Did their boss fight with Yang Ming? However, Black Widow's kung fu was super terrifying. In her opinion, it was normal that Yang Ming was not very powerful. Well, you should investigate Wu Ming's whereabouts and see if he is in the hands of Bao Sanli. Black Widow said, but that Yang Ming, try not to confront him head-on. It is best not to have any conflicts. Yes. He Shu and Feng Dao replied. After the two of them left, the Black Widow sighed faintly and said, that's all I can do. He was so busy in the past few days. 2 days before the new year, Yang Ming had nothing to do. He was bored, so he spent every day with Li Chong and taught them some kung fu and training methods. These people had a good foundation, so their progress was very fast. Could be said that they were faster than Yang Ming at that time. This made Yang Ming a little ashamed. However, when he thought that these people were his apprentices, Yang Ming's heart was still balanced. Yang Ming had one thing that they could never match, that was eyesight. Yang Ming could accurately shoot a target far away with a dagger, but these people couldn't. Their accuracy was far worse. They were improving and Yang Ming was also improving. Therefore, if they wanted to catch up with Yang Ming, they couldn't catch up with him. What's more, Yang Ming did not pass on all his skills to them. This was not that Yang Ming was stingy, but he was still the apprentice of the King of Assassins. Without Fang Tian's permission, it was inappropriate to teach others. The most important thing was that the King of Assassins' skills were passed down one by one. During this period of time, Yang Dashan's Tianjiao Entertainment City business had been booming, but there were also many corresponding problems. Yang Dashan had never opened a similar entertainment place before, so he didn't have a good grasp of the daily food supply, resulting in a lot of waste. Moreover, Yang Dashan was a very prideful person, so there were a lot of free orders in the entertainment city every day. The seemingly popular business scene was actually not profitable at all. After deducting the abandoned and personnel expenses, it could not even break even. Yang Dashan thought that this situation would last for a while, but many people were not satisfied with taking advantage of him. After getting benefits once, they came for the second time. Moreover, these people felt that Yang Dashan's business was big and they didn't lack a share of it. Yang Dashan couldn't say some things because of his face. People said it nicely, they were here to support him. However, when there were many people who gave him a free bill, Yang Dashan began to complain incessantly. In the end, he could only put down his pride and say that he would give a 50% discount and charge the cost price. At this moment, these people were a little unwilling. They were all good buddies. But in contrast, some people did not come. But the cost price was not good. The entertainment city was so expensive every day. If it did not make money, it was equivalent to losing money. Yang Dashan had no choice but to cancel the 50% discount policy and change it to 10% discount. As a result, the people who had been eating here all day immediately exploded. We are all your good brothers and good friends. Coming here to eat is giving you face and supporting you. You said that it was okay to charge the cost, but you actually want to make money? You want to make money on your own people's heads? Aren't you a bit too much? With the same price, isn't it the same no matter where we eat? Isn't it the same no matter where we eat? Why do we have to come here? When these people were angry, they immediately left. They spread the news that Yang Dashan was not a good person. He was crazy about money. He actually had the idea of making friends. Although Bao Sanli had a lot of weight in the underworld, gossip was a fearful thing. No matter how powerful he was, he couldn't control these people's occasional crooked mouth. In the past, the emperor couldn't control what the people under him said, let alone Bao Sanli. Therefore, those who felt that Yang Dashan was not a good person began to spread it in their small circle of friends. Let me tell you. Don't go to Yang Dashan's Tianjiao Entertainment City. Why? Aren't you familiar with Yang Dashan? As for why, I will whisper it to you. Don't tell others. Yang Dashan wasn't being honest. You said that I was quite familiar with him. We were already buddies. When I went to his place to eat, it was fine if he didn't give me a free meal. He could have charged me the cost price. However, he only gave me a 10% discount. He was the same as other customers. This kind of person who is blinded by greed, let's not bother with him anymore. Therefore, everyone nodded. The reputation of Yang Dashan's Tianjiao Entertainment City was getting worse and worse. At first, it was not obvious. After a long time, the business was worse. Business was like this. The more popular it was, the more people would come because people who had never been here would watch. This place was so popular, so it must be good. So people came. But if it was deserted, people would think that this place was definitely not good. It was better not to go. Yang Dashan began to worry, but there was no way. He thought that after the Chinese New Year, there would be more people coming out to play during the Chinese New Year. Maybe the business would be better. The annual festive day had finally arrived. January 25, 2008. Today was Chinese New Year's Eve. Early in the morning, Yang Ming's family took a taxi to Qin Mingyan's home. Before this, the parents of the two families had contacted each other countless times by phone. They were very familiar with each other. They didn't feel estranged when they met. Looking at the gift in Yang Ming's hand, Qin Fei gave him a slap on the head. "You brat, you even brought something to Uncle Chen's place. Isn't this the white wine I brought? My dad said that in a while you two will be finished off." Yang Ming smiled. "Okay. I haven't had a break this year. It's rare to have a holiday. Today I have to drink to my heart's content." Qin Fei looked at Yang Dahai, who followed Yang Ming into the door, and said, "Old Yang, we have been friends for a long time." Big brother Qin. Qin Fei was 1 year older than Yang Dahai, so he felt that it was more polite to call him Big brother Qin. "What Big brother Qin? I call you Old Yang and you call me Old Qin. You don't have to be so serious." Qin Fei smiled. "This is sister-in-law, right? She looks so young." Mother Qin also smiled at Mother Yang. Because the two families were very satisfied with the two children together, the atmosphere was very harmonious. There was no sarcasm from one side. However, Yang Ming and Qin Mingyan didn't show any excessive intimacy. They just nodded to each other. After all, the parents of both sides were there. Even if they missed each other, they couldn't overdo it. "Old Yang, sister-in-law, sit in the house. Mingyan's mother and I just woke up not long ago. We are pasting the couplets." Qin Fei said, "I said that you can just buy 2 of these couplets, but my mother-in-law didn't let me buy it. She wanted to write it herself. The old lady is versatile. So she wrote a few more couplets. You can take them back and paste them." "Then help me thank the old lady," Yang Dashan said quickly. In Qin Mingyan's house, Yang Dashan felt that he had received unprecedented respect. In the factory he was a worker. He had to be humble when he talked to the section chief. But Qin Fei was a deputy section chief. He was also friendly with him. Qin Fei and Mother Qin went to paste the couplets. Yang Dahai and Mother Yang also followed to help. Only Yang Ming and Qin Mingyan were left in the living room. "Did you miss me?" asked Yang Ming. "No." Qin Mingyan glanced at the adults who were pasting the couplets in the kitchen and said, I don't believe it." Yang Ming smiled and hugged Qin Mingyan's shoulder. Qin Mingyan was shocked. "What are you doing? They are all over there." Qin Mingyan widened her eyes. "What's wrong with that? We have already met each other's parents. What's wrong with being intimate?" Yang Ming said indifferently. Let go." Qin Mingyan saw her mother coming out of the kitchen. It seemed that she was going to the bathroom to find something. Cough, cough. Mother Qin coughed twice. Although she knew that the young people were more open now, they couldn't just hug each other in the living room, right? "Yang Ming, Mingyan, why don't you two go out for a walk?" "Right, Mingyan, don't you want to get a haircut? Let Yang Ming accompany you." Mother Qin said it quite tactfully. Yang Ming still heard the hidden meaning in Mother Chen's words. She wanted them to avoid it. He couldn't help but feel a little ashamed. He was too careless just now. He didn't notice Mother Qin coming over. "Okay." Qin Mingyan nodded with a blush. She glared at Yang Ming. Yang Ming was also a little embarrassed. He smiled and stood up. "Then Auntie Qin Mingyan and I will go out first. And just come back at noon. Let's do this. We will call you when the meal is ready." Mother Qin said. "Mom, do you want me to help you?" asked Qin Mingyan. "Forget it. The kitchen is a little crowded with 4 people. You don't have to do it." Mother Qin shook her head. "You go get a haircut. If you don't cut it today, you won't be able to cut it in the future. Your uncle is superstitious. He will die if he cuts his hair on the first lunar month." "All right." Qin Mingyan smiled helplessly. Her uncle was indeed very superstitious. He looked at the imperial calendar when he went out. She remembered that last year her uncle scolded her uncle for cutting his hair in the first month of the lunar month. "It's all your fault." Out of the house, Qin Mingyan complained, "Can't you be more honest in my house? I was just careless." Yang Ming shrugged. "But don't you have to come out to get a haircut? These are 2 different things." Qin Mingyan rolled her eyes at Yang Ming. The two people came to a hair salon near Qin Mingyan's house. Nowadays, hair salons like to have some strange names such as hair cutting workshop, hairstyling beauty salon, and so on. There were a lot of people who came to get a haircut today. It seemed that it wasn't only Qin Mingyan's uncle who was superstitious. Many people had the habit of cutting their hair on Chinese New Year's Eve. Hey, Qin Mingyan. As soon as they entered the hair salon, a young man on the sofa immediately greeted them in surprise. Li Yixuan. Qin Mingyan was also stunned. She looked at the young man on the sofa with surprise. What a coincidence. Yeah, what a coincidence. This is... Li Yixuan stood up and looked at Yang Ming next to Qin Mingyan. Hello, I am Qin Mingyan's boyfriend Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't know what this young man did, and he didn't know what the relationship between him and Qin Mingyan was. In order to prevent this guy from saying anything inappropriate, Yang Ming had to declare his sovereignty first. Li Yixuan was stunned. Then he looked at Yang Ming and looked at Qin Mingyan. Then he smiled and said, hello. Let me introduce myself. My name is Li Yixuan. I am Qin Mingyan's junior high school classmate. We used to sit at the same table. Our relationship is pretty good. Of course, don't get me wrong. We are just ordinary friends. Hello. Yang Ming looked at Li Yixuan suspiciously and nodded to him. Who knows if this kid is telling the truth? Are you also getting a haircut here? Qin Mingyan looked at Li Yixuan and asked. No, I am accompanying someone else. Li Yixuan smiled bitterly and pointed at a seat not far away. Girlfriend? Qin Mingyan glanced over there and asked. That's good. Currently she is just a pursuer. Li Yixuan shook his head. Yang Ming didn't pay attention to his girlfriend. She was far away and her back was facing here. Yang Ming didn't use his special ability so he couldn't see clearly. No way, right? Then you have to work hard. Qin Mingyan laughed. Obviously, the relationship between the two people was good, so they weren't estranged. It's a long story. Li Yixuan said helplessly. Sir, miss, are you getting a haircut? As they were talking, a waiter came over and said to Yang Ming and Qin Mingyan. She's getting a haircut. I am accompanying her. Yang Ming pointed to Qin Mingyan. Then please come with me. The waiter said to Qin Mingyan. There is a seat over there. I'm going to get a haircut first. Let's talk later. Qin Mingyan nodded to Li Yixuan and left with the waiter. Yang Ming saw that this guy wasn't his love rival, so he didn't have any vigilance and sat next to him. Bro, you are quite badass. After Qin Mingyan left, Li Yixuan immediately began to warm up to Yang Ming. How am I badass? Yang Ming was a little puzzled. Qin Mingyan, our junior high school's campus belle, you even got her. Bro, you must have something unique, right? Li Yixuan looked at Yang Ming with envy and asked, can you teach your bro a few tricks? Qin Mingyan and I were high school classmates. Maybe we developed feelings over time. Yang Ming wasn't willing to tell his emotional history to others. This kind of thing belonged to personal privacy. That's not it. In junior high school there were many people who pursued Qin Mingyan. Why didn't they develop feelings over time? Bro, you must have something unique. Li Yixuan patted Yang Ming's shoulder and said. Yang Ming glanced at him. He thought, I'm not familiar with you, right? You are touching me and asking about my private affairs. Isn't it a bit unethical? In fact, it's nothing. Yang Ming wasn't willing to talk to him more, so he said perfunctorily. Unexpectedly, Li Yixuan didn't know it and continued to ask for advice. Bro, you can't be like this. My relationship with Qin Mingyan is also good. Aren't her friends also your friends? You can teach your bro a few tricks. It's not that I don't want to teach you, but there is nothing to teach. Yang Ming was annoyed by his questions, so he frowned and said, No way, are you not willing to teach? Li Yixuan said, You can rest assured, bro. I have no competition with you. Although Qin Mingyan is as beautiful as a fairy, I don't have chemistry with her. I won't steal your girl. Yang Ming was speechless. He thought, how can there be such a shameless person in this world? Am I afraid that you will steal my girl? If you have the ability, then do it. However, Yang Ming couldn't say this so as not to let it reach Qin Mingyan's ears. Bro, you can't be so badass, right? When Li Yixuan saw that Yang Ming didn't speak, he thought that he was moved by him, so he continued, Just give me some advice. I promise that I will be grateful. Donghai's Sea Fairy Pavilion is owned by my family. I will give you a VIP card. You can enjoy 3 free orders a year. As Li Yixuan said this, he took out a VIP card from his pocket and handed it to Yang Ming. Yang Ming took the VIP card and glanced at it. Sea Fairy Pavilion? What the fuck is that? Yang Ming had never heard of it, but he was really annoyed by this Li Yixuan, so he made up a story. I can teach you, but you have to tell me who you want to pursue first. Tell me the simple situation of that person. You also know that everyone is different and the pursuit method is different. That is. Li Yixuan thought that the VIP card had an effect, so he quickly struck while the iron was hot. Or let me tell you. I am pursuing this girl. Her character is a bit cold, but she is very cute. Her family isn't here. She goes to university here alone. I have been pursuing her for a semester, but there is still no effect. You are now pestering her all the time? Asked Yang Ming. Yeah, I think she is a little annoyed with me. What should I do? But if I ask her normally, she won't come out. Li Yixuan said with a sad face. This way. Yang Ming's mind wasn't on this at all. He said casually, is her family rich? Her family. Li Yixuan was stunned. I don't know about this. My family is rich. I don't care if her family is rich or not. Who asked you if you don't care? I'm asking you if her family is rich. In other words, how much can she live on in a month? Yang Ming said as he waved his hand. This, probably more than 1,000. Li Yixuan scratched his head and said. Don't estimate. How much is it? This is very important. Said Yang Ming. Li Yixuan was a little confused. This doesn't seem to have much to do with it, right? Why not? Do you want to learn? Yang Ming glared and said, if you don't want to learn, then forget it. Yes. Bro, don't be angry. I think her usual expenses should be about 1,000. Li Yixuan said quickly. About 1,000, right? Yang Ming nodded and said, then I will teach you a way. Aren't you pestering her now? My method can make the current situation the opposite. Opposite? Li Yixuan said, how is it opposite? You mean to let her pester me? Is this possible? Possible. Why is it impossible? You do it according to the method I said. I guarantee that you will succeed. Said Yang Ming. Hey, wait for me. Li Yixuan suddenly stood up and ran in the direction of the door. It turned out that the girl he had been waiting for had finished cutting her hair and was ready to pay the bill and leave. She didn't even look at Li Yixuan. Yang Ming shook his head. This Li Yixuan, the hope is slim. Even if it's an ordinary boyfriend and girlfriend, the relationship isn't so tense, right? Why does this girl look so familiar? Wang Xiaoyan. Yang Ming blurted out. Yang Ming? Wang Xiaoyan turned her head following the sound and saw Yang Ming. Know each other? Li Yixuan looked at Wang Xiaoyan and Yang Ming with some confusion. It has nothing to do with you, right? Wang Xiaoyan didn't give Li Yixuan any face. Yang Ming smiled bitterly. This is a delinquent girl. Li Yixuan, aren't you too unlucky? You can't even handle a delinquent girl? That is Xiaoying back. Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan had some misunderstandings before, so it was awkward after meeting, so he changed the topic. Not yet. If there is nothing, I will go first. Wang Xiaoyan looked at Yang Ming and secretly gritted her teeth. Taking advantage of me. If it weren't for Zhao Ying, I would have already settled the account with him. Consider yourself lucky. Then we will go first, Yang Ming. When Li Yixuan saw that Wang Xiaoyan was leaving, he quickly chased after her. As he walked, he said to Yang Ming, help me to say goodbye to Chen Ming. And Yang Ming waved his hand and thought, this annoying guy is finally gone. But isn't this guy too tasteless? He actually pursued a delinquent girl. Chen Mingyan was just trimming her hair, not cutting it, so it didn't take long for it to be done. It was just to get some of the New Year's joy. Yang Ming paid the money and Chen Mingyan didn't stop him. The relationship between the two people now didn't need to be so clear. Li Yixuan left? Asked Chen Mingyan. He left. He asked me to inform you. Yang Ming nodded. Why did you talk like that just now? Chen Mingyan was somewhat dissatisfied with Yang Ming's behavior. Li Yixuan and I are junior high school classmates. There is no other relationship. I'm afraid that this guy has ideas about you. Yang Ming smiled. Come on. Do you think I'm so popular? Chen Mingyan rolled her eyes at Yang Ming. Why aren't you popular? Don't you know? Our school's BBS has a campus bell ranking list. You are on the list. Said Yang Ming. It's all done by some bored people. Chen Mingyan also heard about this from her roommates, but she didn't care. If she paid attention, she would find that Lin Jian was also on the list. What are we going to do now? Yang Ming looked at the time. It was still early. Most probably, going back to Qin Mingyan's house would be a nuisance. The adults were busy preparing the meal, so they didn't need the two of them. I don't know. Let's just walk around, Qin Mingyan suggested. We haven't gone shopping for a while. Then let's go. Yang Ming nodded. The two people strolled along the street hand in hand. The shops on both sides were full of the festive New Year with lights and decorations. They strolled down the shops not to buy goods, but to enjoy the warmth of this moment. It was unknown when it started to snow. Qin Mingyan was like a child. She looked at the snowflakes that fell on her scarf excitedly. Oh, when I was young I especially liked the snow. When it snowed I liked to look at the snowflakes outside the window, Qin Mingyan said with emotion. I didn't expect it to become so big in a blink of an eye. Yeah, you're almost becoming someone else's wife. Your child is almost like you looking at the snowflakes on the window. Yang Ming smiled. You're so annoying. What are you talking about? Qin Mingyan said with annoyance. I'm reminiscing about my childhood, but you just have to mess it up. Just kidding. Yang Ming took Qin Mingyan's hand. Then I'll tell you about my childhood. When I was a child, every time I saw snow I liked to step on the snow. Step on it in a certain order. After stepping on it, it was like a car wheel running over it. It was very neat. Hee, I played that too. Qin Mingyan smiled happily. The two people recalled the interesting things of their childhood from elementary school to junior high school. Yang Ming, what do you think Suya is doing now? Speaking of junior high school, Qin Mingyan couldn't help but think of Suya again. Although it was disappointing to mention it, Qin Mingyan couldn't help but ask curiously. I don't know. Yang Ming sighed and then said slowly, maybe she is like the two of us, strolling in the snow with her other half. I'm sorry. Qin Mingyan saw that Yang Ming was a little sad and she regretted asking this question. Originally the two people were very happy just now. It's okay. Men should get married when they are of age. It's nothing. Yang Ming smiled bitterly and shook his head. Qin Mingyan also sighed softly. It seemed that Suya still had a place in Yang Ming's heart. Perhaps only time could change all of this. Unknowingly, the two people actually walked to the seaside. The seaside in winter was very deserted, and the cold sea breeze blew the hair of the two people. Suya and I have been here before. Yang Ming pointed to a reef monument not far away. Date? Asked Qin Mingyan. Not really. One day after school ended early we had nothing to do. We wanted to walk home together. Who would have thought that once we started talking we didn't want to separate? Just like today we accidentally came here. Yang Ming shook his head. How would a child know what a date is? That is also a good memory. Qin Mingyan wasn't jealous this time. This kind of jealousy was not necessary at all. Suya had now disappeared from Yang Ming's life. It could only be regarded as a good memory. How could Qin Mingyan be jealous of a memory? And Yang Ming nodded and said, let's go and have a look. I remember that Suya and I engraved our names on it. I don't know if it is still there. Okay. Qin Mingyan nodded. Although her heart wasn't very comfortable, there was no other way. Moreover, she was also somewhat curious. She was trying to understand Yang Ming's past. If you love someone you have to accept all of him, right? Including his past and the past. The two people came to the front of the monument. Yang Ming's eyes were sharp. He found his and Suya's names among the countless names. Although the traces were already very faint, it could still be seen clearly if you looked carefully. It's here. Yang Ming pointed to the names on it and said. Vandalism. Qin Mingyan glanced at it and thought about it. She used this sentence to vent the imbalance in her heart. That's right, anyone who saw their lover's name together with another girl would feel uncomfortable. So many people have engraved it. It doesn't matter if I am one more. What are you doing? Yang Ming looked at Qin Mingyan in surprise and said, didn't you say that it was vandalism? Why are you? Chapter 589. Qin Mingyan picked up a small stone by the side of the stone tablet and started carving on the stone tablet with all her might. Qin Mingyan wanted to cross out Suya's name and write her name next to it, but she hesitated and didn't do so. Instead, she engraved her name under Suya's name. If she crossed out Suya's name, Yang Ming would definitely think that she was stingy. Being angry with an illusory person might destroy the original warm atmosphere. However, Qin Mingyan was unwilling to let Yang Ming and Suya appear side by side on this stone tablet, so she could only add her name under Suya's name. At first glance it seemed that Yang Ming had two wives. Xia was the first wife and Qin Mengyan was the second wife. However, there was no other way. Qin Mengyan gritted her teeth and endured it. Yang Ming looked at Qin Mengyan's action, but there was a slight smile at the corner of his mouth. This stone tablet was called the Three-Life Stone. It was said that as long as a man and a woman engraved their name on it, they would be together forever and never be separated. This was also the reason why many couples left their names on it. However, legends were legends. There was no scientific basis. Yang Ming was just looking for psychological satisfaction. He didn't think that Suya and Qin Mengyan would be with him forever. Qin Mengyan was possible, but he didn't know where Suya was now. At that time, little Yang Ming and little Suya didn't know what love was. Engraving on the stone tablet was completely for fun. Being together forever? There could be many explanations. Good friends could also be together forever. There are so many people who destroy it. I'm not the only one left. Qin Mengyan threw the stone in her hand aside and looked at her masterpiece with satisfaction. When she finished engraving her name, she also drew Yang Ming's name a lot heavier. In contrast, Xia's name was very faint. If one didn't look carefully, it could almost be ignored. Yang Ming looked at the name on the stone tablet and sighed. Qin Mengyan still liked to play some tricks, but this was much better than the original little vinegar jar. Yang Ming didn't care too much. After all, Xia could only be a part of his memory. Only the current Qin Mengyan was really with him. Yang Ming took Qin Mengyan's hand and said, I hope we can fulfill the prophecy on this stone tablet. Qin Mengyan nodded vigorously and held Yang Ming's hand. We will. Seeing that Yang Ming wasn't angry because of her actions, Qin Mengyan was relieved. When she saw Yang Ming's gloomy face, Qin Mengyan even had the impulse to draw Suya's name again. She didn't know why, but Qin Mengyan felt that she was more and more concerned about Yang Ming's thoughts. Do I love him too much? Have I lost my own personality? As she was thinking, Qin Mengyan's cell phone rang. She took it out and saw that it was a call from home. Your mother. Is it because the meal is ready and they want us to go back? Yang Ming glanced at the caller ID and asked. It should be. Qin Mengyan nodded. Pick it up. Yang Ming smiled and said, just say that we will check out and go back immediately. Go to hell. Qin Mengyan glared at Yang Ming and picked up the phone. Oh. Little Yen, what do you mean go to hell? What are you talking about? Mother Qin asked, baffled. Qin Mengyan sweated and said, Mom, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about Yang Ming. That won't do. How can you talk about him like that? A girl can't be too arrogant. You have to be gentle. When did I talk to your dad like that? Mother Qin reprimanded seriously. Qin Mengyan couldn't say anything. She could only stare at Yang Ming desperately. It couldn't be helped. She couldn't ask her mother to repeat what Yang Ming said. Well, girls should behave themselves in the future. The meal is almost ready. Where are you and Yang Ming? When will you come back? Mother Qin asked. We are at the seaside. Let's go back now. Qin Mengyan said. Okay, you guys take a taxi. Hurry up. Mother Qin said. After hanging up the phone, Qin Mengyan was so angry that she really wanted to kick Yang Ming, causing her to be scolded by her mother. What are you laughing at? Seeing Yang Ming snickering, Qin Mengyan was even angrier. She snorted and said, What are you laughing at? You were scolded, right? Yang Ming finally couldn't help but laugh. Yeah, I will go back and tell your mother that you bullied me and wanted to take me to the hotel. Qin Mengyan threatened. Huh. Yang Ming was stunned. He was a little dumbfounded. Really? Don't. Aren't you trying to kill me? Heh. Seeing that Yang Ming was scared, Qin Mengyan said happily, Let's see if you still dare to talk nonsense in the future. The two people stopped a taxi, told the driver the location and then got in. Come on. Yang Ming put his arm around Qin Mengyan's shoulder and let her lean in his arms. What are you doing? Qin Mengyan struggled and said. There won't be a chance after we go back. Yang Ming whispered. Oh. Qin Mengyan listened to Yang Ming's words and thought about it. In front of the parents of both sides, the opportunities to be intimate with each other were pitiful. Now, it was also an opportunity to be intimate, right? Although Qin Mengyan was a girl with a very reserved character, she also missed Yang Ming. This kind of intimate moment was very enjoyable, so she lay in Yang Ming's arms obediently. The two people enjoyed this moment of warmth, but there was someone who spoiled the scene. After a long time they still hadn't reached home. Yang Ming couldn't help but look out of the window strangely. As a result, the car actually drove to the outer ring. Yang Ming was immediately unwilling. Where are you going? Aren't you going to the community on Wenxing Road? The driver said indifferently. I am going to the community on Wenxing Road, but where are you driving from? Yang Ming said coldly, we are already in the outer ring. Are you going out of the city? Oh, there is a road construction there, so I have to take a detour. The driver said shamelessly, it's Chinese New Year. It's a festive occasion. Aren't you thinking of speeding up? Yang Ming looked at this guy who was lying with his eyes wide open and was a bit speechless. Is there anyone who earns money like you? It's true that it's a festive occasion. If you honestly send us to the place, I may give you 100 yuan. You don't have to keep the change. But now, isn't it a bit unreasonable? Road construction? We walked to the beach. Why didn't I see a road construction? Yang Ming snorted. It was just built. Big men should be more straightforward. Don't be so calculative about these small things. The taxi driver said. What is just built? Qin Mengyan was unwilling. Aren't you making a detour for me? The taxi driver thought that this young man and woman who were dating, the man would not be calculative in front of the woman for the sake of face. But he didn't expect the woman to be unwilling. He had been driving a taxi for many years. He had already developed a pair of discerning eyes. Generally, young men and women who came out to take a taxi and sat casually on one side were generally married couples. It was difficult to scam them. But people like Yang Ming who sat together after getting in the car were generally men and women who were in love. Generally, the man would show his generosity in front of the woman. There were few who would care about the fare. Therefore, he directly classified Yang Ming into this category. Today was Chinese New Year. He felt that Yang Ming would not be calculative because of this little money. But he didn't expect that Qin Mengyan was also unwilling. How could he know that Qin Mengyan was a very principled girl? 1 is 1, 2 is 2. How could she allow others to cheat her? So the taxi driver was also a bit speechless for a while, but he calmed down and said, it's Chinese New Year. Don't be so troublesome. Well, I'll give you a round number when we get there. Hey. Yang Ming was immediately amused. You're making a big circle for me. You are delaying our time. Do you think I will give you money? You don't want to pay? The taxi driver glared and stopped the car on the side of the road with a screech. Then he said, if you don't want to pay, get out of the car. You guys get out here. The taxi driver had a look of victory over Yang Ming and Qin Mengyan. Because this was the outer ring bridge, except for some vehicles going out of the city, there were few taxis passing by. If Yang Ming got out of the car, it would be difficult to stop another car. Moreover, this was a high-speed road section. It was extremely dangerous for pedestrians to walk on it, so the taxi driver was not afraid that Yang Ming would not comply. What's with your attitude? We complained to the Transportation Bureau's rental management office. Qin Mengyan liked to use laws and regulations to defend her rights because of her family background. How you call? You know a lot, but it's useless. The taxi driver was amused. Today is Chinese New Year's Eve. The Transportation Bureau is on holiday. Who are you looking for? Chapter 590. Hurry up and drive. Otherwise you have to bear the consequences. Yang Ming wasn't like Qin Mengyan who liked to talk about big principles. If he didn't agree, he would just hold his fist. This was Yang Ming's style. It's fine to drive. But the taxi driver patted the meter in front of him. Do you see the number above? When we arrive at the destination, we will pay in full. Can you say it again? Yang Ming sneered at the taxi driver. Even if I say it 10,000 times, it will still be the same. Because Yang Ming and Qin Mengyan were sitting at the back of the car, there was a protective window between them and the driver. He wasn't afraid that Yang Ming would do anything to him. If Yang Ming dared to get off, then he would drive away directly. Pa! Yang Ming punched the protective window of the taxi, and a big dent immediately appeared on the protective window. The taxi driver was shocked and said, What are you doing? Do you believe that I can hit your head with my next punch? Yang Ming said coldly, Hurry up and drive. Don't dawdle. Just drive. You can't destroy my car. The taxi driver was obviously scared by Yang Ming's action, so he had to whisper. Do you believe that I will destroy your car? Yang Ming heard his whisper and said with a glare. I'll drive. I'll drive. The taxi driver thought that he was unlucky. He went for wool and came back shorn. He didn't expect Yang Ming to be so fierce. He punched a big dent in the hard protective fence. You see, it's useless to reason with this kind of person. He just needs a beating. Yang Ming pointed at the taxi driver and said. In fact, he was also explaining to Qin Mengyan. Sometimes using violence was a last resort. He didn't want Qin Mengyan to always say that he was violent. Qin Mengyan sighed. What Yang Ming said made sense. When she said that she wanted to complain about him, he was not afraid. On the contrary, when Yang Ming made a move, he became obedient. What kind of person was he? When the taxi driver heard Yang Ming's words, he immediately got angry. He was not a good person either. There were scums in every industry. For example, the current driver Su Songshu was originally a ruffian. Later on, when he got older, he couldn't mix around anymore, so he found a job as a taxi driver. However, he still kept in touch with some gangsters in society. Usually when he was driving, he would bluff and cheat. He would cheat as much as he could. Especially for foreign guests and young couples like Yang Ming, he was even more merciless. He didn't expect to encounter a problem today. However, Su Songshu was not willing to be bullied by Yang Ming. While he was driving, he secretly took out his mobile phone and sent a text message to a few of his friends. He asked them to wait for Yang Ming when they arrived at the destination. He wanted to teach them a lesson. Along the way, Su Songshu didn't dare to be rash. He acted like a coward. He thought that when he arrived at the entrance of Wenxing Road, he must teach Yang Ming a bloody lesson. He wouldn't stop until he had squeezed all the money out of him. The car drove to Huaxing Road. Su Songshu saw that his few friends were on the roadside. He immediately calmed down and stopped the car directly next to them. Quang Dang, the back door was opened by several of Su Songshu's friends. One of them, a guy with a watermelon head, bared his teeth at Yang Ming and said, "You get out of the car." Changzi, this kid not only didn't pay for the car, but also broke the protective fence inside the car. Su Songshu was full of energy now. He looked at Yang Ming proudly and said, "Hey kid, you have a lot of courage. At such a young age you learned how to drive an overlord? You even broke the protective fence of the car? I didn't expect that you kid are so fierce." The watermelon head called Changzi stared at Yang Ming and said, "Who are you?" Yang Ming looked at Changzi with disdain and said, "This is none of your business. Go away." But Changzi reached out and slapped Yang Ming's face. "Little brat, how can you talk like that? You don't want face, right? Are you asking for a beating?" Yang Ming tilted his head and casually avoided Changzi's slap. Then he said impatiently, "I'll say it one last time. This is none of your business. Otherwise you will bear the consequences." Then he turned to Su Songshu and said, "And you, I saw that you were so honest, so I thought about giving you a few more coins to make up for your loss. I didn't expect you to dare to call people to trick me. Then I'm sorry, there is no money." Oh. Changzi was amused. "Kid, you're quite stubborn. Did you see how many people I brought here? I admit that you have some ability to make the protective fence like this, but no matter how badass you are, can you beat the four of us? Do you want to be a hero in front of a girl? Don't end up being a coward, right?" After that he said to Qin Mengyan on the side, "Your boyfriend wants to show off. Seeing that you look good, I will give you face and obediently bid 5,000 yuan. Then we will call it quits. Otherwise your boyfriend may have to spend this Chinese New Year in the hospital." Yang Ming saw that this guy was dawdling and he was a little annoyed immediately. Originally he didn't want to cause trouble in front of Qin Mengyan's house. After all, his mother-in-law was nearby. It wasn't good to spread the news, so he wanted to drive these people away as soon as possible. However, he didn't expect this guy to take advantage of him. He immediately frowned and said, "I will give you 300 yuan. I don't want to dawdle with you during the Chinese New Year." "What? 300? Changzi saw that Yang Ming was willing to pay, so he thought that Yang Ming was soft. He immediately became arrogant. 5,000 yuan. Don't think about leaving with a penny less. Fuck you." Yang Ming was really impatient this time. He slapped Changzi and directly hit him until he spun around and fell to the side. Go beat him." Changzi spat out a front tooth and his speech was a little leaky. These people all thought that Yang Ming was the one who took advantage of Changzi's unpreparedness. They didn't think that Yang Ming was very powerful. They thought that they had 4 people on their side. Why would they be afraid of him? So they all stood up and surrounded Yang Ming. "AI, what are you people doing? Are you gathering to fight?" These people just wanted to make a move, but they heard a loud shout. When they turned around, they saw two uniformed policemen coming over. They didn't dare to make a move and stood aside obediently. Although there were many people on this side, how could the gangsters dare to make trouble with the police? "What's the matter?" asked one of the policemen. "This brat is riding an overlord. We are stopping him to ask for money." Su Songshu hurriedly explained. "Is that so?" asked the policeman. "No, this driver took us on a detour. We refused to pay the extra fare, so he found these people to not let us go." Qin Mengyan was immediately unwilling. Are you the daughter of Captain Chen's family?" Another policeman looked at Qin Mengyan and suddenly asked. "You are Uncle Kai?" Qin Mengyan also recognized the policeman in front of her. He was the deputy chief of the security department in her father's unit. He also lived in this community. Sometimes he went to work with her father. Qin Mengyan naturally recognized him. What's the matter? These fellows actually dared to kill you?" The policeman named Kai said to another policeman beside him, "Take them back to the station first." Su Songshu was suddenly dumbfounded. He didn't expect this to be a big mistake. This young man is not a good person. Why is this woman so powerful? Listening to the policeman's tone, he must be an inner disciple of the police station. His father is a captain. That misunderstanding. Brother police, I was just joking. It's fine. Su Songshu quickly changed his words. It was Chinese New Year. After entering the police station, they had to eat Chinese New Year's Eve dinner. How could that be? Misunderstanding? You didn't say that just now, right? The previous policeman asked. Didn't you say that someone took a taxi? No, I was just joking. Su Songshu's sweat flowed down. What a bad day. The policeman named Kai saw that he gave in, so he didn't want to argue with him. It was Chinese New Year. Forget it. So he waved his hand and said, "You should be careful next time. I remember your car number. I will inform the traffic department. If I hear about you taking advantage of a customer, then you will be unlucky." Yes. Su Songshu nodded quickly, but during this time he didn't dare to take advantage of a customer. Seeing that Su Songshu left, Qin Mengyan breathed a sigh of relief and said to the policeman named Kai, "Uncle Kai, you don't know. This person is too hateful. He took us around the outer ring. The face of the people of Songjiang was lost by such a guy." The policeman named Kai said, "You can rest assured. I will find someone to watch him. If this guy dares to take advantage of a customer, I will definitely teach him a lesson." Hey, the policeman named Kai looked at Yang Ming and asked. Chapter 591. Hello, Uncle Kai. I'm Mingyan's boyfriend. I came to Uncle Chen's house with my parents for the Chinese New Year, Yang Ming said quickly. This young man is not bad. You look like a talent. Especially just now, you were fearless in the face of danger. You weren't threatened by those evil forces. You're not simple. The police officer with the surname Kai praised. Uncle Kai is overpraising me. Yang Ming smiled. Okay, then I won't bother you. The police officer with the surname Kai said to Qin Mengyan, "Send my New Year's greetings to your dad." Because of this little episode, the sweet mood of the two people was a lot worse. When they returned home, Mother Qin couldn't help but ask why they were so late. Qin Mengyan wasn't willing to say too much. She just explained that there was a traffic jam on the road. The meals at home were all made by themselves, but there were a lot of different dishes and they were delicious. During the Chinese New Year, Qin Mengyan's family would go to Qin Mengyan's grandmother's house to celebrate the Chinese New Year, but this year's situation was different. Naturally, they couldn't go. But even if they went to her grandmother's house to celebrate the Chinese New Year, they would eat outside instead of cooking at home. They hadn't enjoyed the warmth of eating at home for many years. Qin Mengyan felt very warm. Yang Ming's family cooked at home every year, but it wasn't so sumptuous. The three of them couldn't eat too many dishes. Therefore, today was the first time that the two families had cooperated for the Chinese New Year, but it seemed that the effect was still very good. The two families sat together and clinked the wine glasses in their hands. This also indicated that the matter between Qin Mengyan and Yang Ming was settled. Qin Fei and Mother Qin were both people on the scene, especially Mother Qin. She worked in a state-owned enterprise and was a senior executive. There were many social occasions. Although Yang Dehai and Mother Yang were a little restrained at first, the atmosphere was soon stirred up. Sister-in-law, I heard that you were laid off. Of course, I don't have any other meaning. Mother Chin said, why don't you come to our unit? My company's benefits are good. Although I can't guarantee to arrange a small official position for you, you will be a formal employee. Yang Dahai was immediately interested when he heard it. In the eyes of his generation, an iron rice bowl was the most important. Nothing else was better than it. When he heard that Mother Chin had this ability, he quickly said, sister-in-law, that's great. If I can enter your company, that would be great. Brother Yang, you don't have the final say in this matter. You need sister-in-law's approval. Mother Chin smiled and said, I heard from Mingyan that Yang Ming is now running a company with friends outside. Sister-in-law might want to enjoy life at home. Look at what you are saying. What's there to enjoy? Isn't it still not done yet? When she heard Mother Chin praise her son, Mother Yang was very happy. Isn't that about the same? I can't do it. I still have to work hard for a few years. Mother Chin said, sister-in-law, this isn't right. Isn't Big Ming's Mingyan's? Isn't that yours? Yang Dahai said quickly. Hee, that's also true. Mother Chin nodded and smiled. Mom, what are you talking about? Chin Mingyan suddenly felt embarrassed. We're talking about you and Yang Ming. You aren't young anymore. What is there to be shy about? Aren't you shy about cuddling on the sofa? Mother Chin said mischievously. Mom. Chin Mingyan lowered her head. Her face was as red as the big crab shell on the table. This meal could be said to have started at 2:00 in the afternoon and continued until 6:00 in the evening. What the two families wanted was the cheerful atmosphere at this dinner table. It wasn't specifically for eating. In the end, it was just a chat. Of course, Yang Ming and Chin Mingyan had already eaten. They weren't willing to be the target of the adults' teasing. The two young couples went directly to Chin Mingyan's room. Yang Ming locked the door. Chin Mingyan frowned and said, what are you doing? If you lock the door, Mom, Dad, Uncle and Auntie will misunderstand. Hurry up and open it. It's okay. Yang Ming said with a smile. They are chatting in full swing. How can they take care of us? Besides, if they look for us, they will definitely knock on the door first. Yang Ming said as he lay on Chin Mingyan's small bed. Get up quickly. So dirty. Take off your clothes. Chin Mingyan said angrily. I changed the sheets this morning. Take off my clothes? Then I'll take them off. Yang Ming said as he began to take off his pants. Really piss me off. Chin Mingyan rolled her eyes at Yang Ming. Can't you be serious? Do you want to leave a bad impression on my parents? Just kidding. Yang Ming put away his smile and said, don't worry. I won't do anything excessive. That's more like it. Chin Mingyan nodded and sat on the bed. Right, Yang Ming, how is Zhou Jiejie's injury? In Chin Mingyan's heart, she had always been full of sympathy for Zhou Jiejie. Yes, I also love Yang Ming, but my treatment is completely different from hers. I put in the effort, but I got the due reward. But what about Zhou Jiejie? Chin Mingyan knew that this girl's love for Yang Ming was no less than her own. Moreover, she put in more than her own. For Yang Ming, she even sacrificed her life. But what did she get? Cold bullets in a lonely hospital bed. On this day of national celebration, she was lying in bed and hadn't woken up yet. Every time she thought of this, Chin Mingyan had an unprecedented feeling. Indeed, women are selfish animals, but at the same time, women are also the most sympathetic. Chin Mingyan's heart now only had sympathy for Zhou Jiejie. She didn't have any thoughts of competing with her. Yes, sometimes Chin Mingyan even thought that if possible, even if Yang Ming gave a little love to Zhou Jiejie, she wouldn't mind. Chin Mingyan was careful to guard against Lan Ling. Although she had no choice but to accept this fact, she still wanted to dominate Yang Ming deep in her heart. But for Zhou Jiejie, it was a different idea. On the second day of Zhou Jiejie's hospitalization, Qin Fei took Chin Mingyan to the hospital to visit Zhou Jiejie. Looking at the bed, the girl who was originally beautiful and not inferior to her had now become thin and haggard with a pale face. Chin Mingyan secretly shed tears. She cried. He cried for a girl who also loved Yang Ming. Zhou Jiejie was really pitiful. God had pity on her. Yang Ming would go to Zhou Jiejie's ward every day no matter what happened. He would hold her hand and talk to her for a while. Because the doctor also said that Zhou Jiejie's injury was now in the recovery period, but whether she could wake up wasn't something that could be solved by the medical field. Only people who were familiar with Zhou Jiejie often talked to her. Maybe she would wake up faster. Therefore, whether it was effective or not, since the doctor said so, Yang Ming would insist on doing it every day. Now he could only do so much. It's still the same, Yang Ming said with a sigh. Don't blame yourself. No one wants such a thing to happen. Qin Mengyan saw Yang Ming's mood instantly drop and quickly comforted him. Yeah, no one wants it. I don't know when she will wake up. Yang Ming shook his head and said, but when she wakes up the trouble comes again. What's wrong? Why is there trouble when she wakes up? Qin Mengyan asked, baffled. Yang Ming didn't intend to hide it from Qin Mengyan, so he repeated what he said to Zhou Jiajia on the way to the hospital to Qin Mengyan. This was his promise to Zhou Jiajia. Understand? After Qin Mengyan listened, she took a long sigh of relief. After a while she said, in the situation at that time, your promise was the only hope for Zhou Jiajia to live. So I understand. You don't blame me for saying that? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. I don't blame you. Even if I am by your side, I won't be angry after listening to it, because you did the right thing. Qin Mengyan nodded firmly. AI. Yang Ming said helplessly, I now hope that Zhou Jiajia will get better soon, but I don't know how to face it after she wakes up. This promise is too heavy. I can't breathe under the pressure. Qin Mengyan was silent. Yeah, what should I do after Zhou Jiajia wakes up? Should Yang Ming keep his promise? Or, Qin Mengyan subconsciously didn't want Yang Ming to keep the promise, but when she thought of Zhou Jiajia's disappointed expression when she heard Yang Ming telling her the truth after she finally woke up, Qin Mengyan couldn't bear it. Isn't this a bit too cruel? After going through a life-and-death situation I finally got a promise, but it's a lie. What should I do? Qin Mengyan couldn't help but think about it. If I were Zhou Jiajia, what would I do after hearing this situation? Lose the meaning of life. Commit suicide. A horrible idea appeared in Qin Mengyan's mind, making her shudder. Chapter 592. Let's talk about the future in the future. Qin Mengyan said faintly, Zhou Jiajia is really pitiful. Yang Ming looked at Qin Mengyan with some astonishment. For the first time, this was definitely the first time that Qin Mengyan was not angry about the entanglement between him and other girls. She was not even jealous. You mean? Yang Ming looked at Qin Mengyan and felt a little incredulous. Let's not talk about this, okay? Qin Mengyan shook her head and said, everything, let's wait until she wakes up. Yang Ming replied, however, I have to go to the hospital to visit her often during this time. You won't be angry, right? Of course not. Qin Mengyan smiled and said, what kind of person do you think I am? Why would I be angry with a patient? Thank you, Mengyan. Yang Ming said, thank you for understanding. Why are you saying this? She is injured because of you. If I have time I will go and visit her. Qin Mengyan said. At 8 o'clock in the evening, the program with the highest rating on CCTV, the Spring Festival Gala, began to broadcast live. Yang Ming and Qin Mengyan came to the living room and sat with the four old people to watch the Spring Festival Gala. Although many people said that the Spring Festival Gala's programs were getting worse year after year, the ratings were still very strong. It couldn't be helped. The Spring Festival Gala had become a must-watch TV program on New Year's Eve. People from all walks of life were sitting in front of the TV at this moment, watching the same program. Since CCTV held the Spring Festival Gala in 1983, for more than 20 years, the Spring Festival Gala was the most important and happy event. Everyone always had an early New Year's Eve dinner and quietly waited for the unveiling of the Spring Festival Gala at 8 o'clock. This had become a kind of expectation, a kind of waiting, a kind of habit, a kind of New Year's sentiment that could not be erased. Every year the Spring Festival Gala was watched and disappointed. However, when the two families watched the Spring Festival Gala together, it was lively. Every New Year, although Yang Ming's family would also watch the Spring Festival Gala, the three of them would sit on the sofa and watch quietly. They rarely talked. Because they were already too familiar with each other, they had already said what they needed to say, so they naturally watched the television in peace. However, it was different now. The two families were watching the Spring Festival Gala, commenting on each other's shows on TV, eating snacks and drinks and enjoying themselves. However, at this time Yang Ming's cell phone rang at the wrong time. Sorry, I have to take a call, Yang Ming said to everyone with embarrassment, then got up and walked to Qin Mengyan's room. The caller ID was an unfamiliar number. Yang Ming picked up the phone strangely. Did he call the wrong number? It wasn't like this had never happened before. It often appeared in the newspapers. When people called their friends during the New Year, many people inexplicably received New Year calls and text messages from unknown people. When they asked, they found out that there were too many people who wanted to pay New Year's greetings, and some unfamiliar friends pressed the wrong number. Hello? Hello, who are you looking for? Yang Ming picked up the phone. Hello, are you Yang Ming? The other party asked directly. I am. May I ask who you are? Yang Ming saw that the other party was looking for him, but the other party's voice was very strange. It was a woman's voice. Yang Ming felt very strange. I am Zhao Ying's mother, said the other party. Oh. Hello, Auntie. Happy New Year. Yang Ming said quickly. Originally, he was thinking of calling to give New Year's greetings, but he didn't expect Zhao Ying's mother to call him first. Are you Zhao Ying's boyfriend? Asked Zhao Ying's mother. I am. Yang Ming suddenly broke into a sweat, but he quickly admitted it. Hurry up and come over. There's an emergency. After Zhao Ying's mother confirmed, she immediately said anxiously. Come over. Where am I going? What's the emergency? Yang Ming asked strangely. Come to my place. Zhao Ying's mother explained. Zhao Ying was injured by a neighbor's child with a firecracker. Now she is in the hospital. What? Yang Ming exclaimed. Injured by a firecracker? What firecracker? I don't know. Maybe it's something like the big god cannon. Zhao Ying's mother said, You come quickly. The situation is very dangerous now. Yang Ming didn't know what the great divine cannon was, but the power was definitely not small when he heard the name. So he quickly said, Okay, then I will buy a ticket and fly over now. Tell me the detailed address. After you come to L City directly, just call me. Zhao Ying's mother said. Okay, then I will book the earliest ticket as soon as possible. Yang Ming said in a hurry. What's wrong? Seeing Yang Ming hang up the phone, Qin Mengyan on the side immediately asked. Just now she saw Yang Ming answer the phone for a long time, so she came in to see what happened. She vaguely heard the other side of the phone saying something like a boyfriend, so she couldn't help but ask. Yang Ming hesitated and felt that there was no need to hide this from Qin Mengyan. He was now pretending to be Zhao Ying's boyfriend. If he hid it from her, it would be more suspicious. Moreover, it was Chinese New Year and he was in a hurry to buy a ticket to fly to L City. If there was no suitable reason, it wouldn't work. So Yang Ming explained, Mengyan, the phone call was from Sister Ying's mother. Sister Ying? Why did her mother call you? Asked Qin Mengyan. This is the case. Zhao Ying's parents introduced a boyfriend to her. She didn't like him, but her parents thought that the man was good, so Zhao Ying discussed with me and used me as a shield. She said that I was her boyfriend, so her parents wouldn't introduce a boyfriend to her. Yang Ming said, Then why are you going to L City? Don't tell me you're going to visit her parents? Although Qin Mengyan felt that this matter was nothing, it was still very uncomfortable to lend her boyfriend to others. This is not the case. Just now Zhao Ying's mother called me and said that Sister Ying was blown up by a neighbor's child with firecrackers and was admitted to the hospital. The situation is very serious. She asked me to go there immediately. Yang Ming said. He was injured by the explosion? Qin Mengyan was shocked after hearing it. What happened? Is it serious? I don't know, but it is said that she is in the hospital. The situation should not be good. Yang Ming said, Meng, no matter what, Sister Ying is good to me. It is reasonable for me to go and see her. This is good, but if you go now, how will you tell your family? Qin Mengyan asked with concern. Qin Mengyan never thought that there was something between Zhao Ying and Yang Ming. Zhao Ying was her and Yang Ming's teacher in high school. She was like a big sister. No matter how Qin Mengyan association, she would not connect the two people together. Moreover, Qin Mengyan and Zhao Ying were also very familiar. She didn't think that Zhao Ying had any feelings for Yang Ming. So she wasn't worried about this. She was just worried about how Yang Ming would tell his family. To be honest, Sister Ying is my teacher in high school. She's very good to me. It can be said that she gave me a lot of help before the college entrance examination, so it should be normal for me to go and see her. Yang Ming said. This is true. Then you go and say it. Let my father book a ticket for you. His unit is relatively special. It is more convenient to book these things. Qin Mengyan said. Let's go out. Yang Ming nodded and said with some gratitude. When they came to the living room, the adults of the two families were watching TV and didn't pay attention to them. After Yang Ming sat down, he said first, Dad, Mom, I want to go to L City. Go to L City? What's going on? Yang Dahai said, Are you kidding me? What are you going to do there? Dad, Yang Ming was indeed a bit embarrassed to explain. Although Zhao Ying was his high school teacher, it was normal for him to visit her. But the key problem was that Zhao Ying was injured by the firecrackers. How did he know in the first place? For this kind of thing, if it wasn't a particularly close person, he shouldn't have received the news, right? Of course, this kind of absurd thing of pretending to be Zhao Ying's boyfriend was absolutely not to his parents and Uncle Chen. Otherwise, he would definitely be scolded. First of all, his father wouldn't forgive him. Seeing that Yang Ming was in a dilemma, Qin Mengyan said, Let me say it. This is the case. Just now Yang Ming and I thought that we should give a New Year's greeting to our high school teachers and classmates, so we called them one by one. But when we called Teacher Zhao Ying, her mother answered the phone. She said that Teacher Zhao Ying was injured by the firecrackers of the neighbor's child. The situation was very serious and she was in the hospital. In high school, Teacher Zhao Ying was very helpful to me, especially to Yang Ming. Miss Zhao was also very approachable. We all called her Sister Ying. Our relationship with her was very good. Now that she has such an incident, Yang Ming and I think that we should visit her as soon as possible. Chapter 593. Oh, Zhao Ying? Yang Dahai thought about it and said, Is she the teacher who gave you voluntary tutoring every day in high school? Dad, that's her. Yang Ming nodded quickly. Turned out to be her. Then you really have to go and see her. Without her, you can't get into Songjiang Industry University. Yang Dahai nodded and said, Dad, Mengyan also helped me a lot. Yang Ming reminded him, You can't say that. What is the relationship between you and Mengyan? It's normal for you two to study together, but it's the teacher's obligation to help you. Chen Fei continued, Since she's your teacher, you should go and see her. Mengyan and I also think so. I was just about to discuss it with you. Yang Ming didn't expect things to go so smoothly. He looked at Qin Mengyan gratefully. But it's too late today. Let's do this. I will book a ticket for you tomorrow morning. You and Mengyan go and see. Qin Fei said, I have a classmate from the police academy in L City. I will ask him to take care of you. Okay, then I will have to trouble Uncle Chen. Yang Ming said happily and nodded quickly. Yang Ming couldn't be helped. It was unrealistic to find Zhao Ying now. He could only wait until tomorrow. So he sat with Qin Mengyan. The two families continued to watch the Spring Festival Gala, but Yang Ming's mind wasn't on the TV at the moment. Zhao Ying and Qin Mengyan only cared about her as friends, but Yang Ming was different. His feelings for her were more than friends. There was some love in it. Therefore, when Zhao Ying had an accident, Yang Ming was immediately upset. The phone rang again. Yang Ming shook his head. Usually he didn't have many phone calls. How come there were more calls on New Year's Eve? Yang Ming took out the phone and saw that it was Zhao Ying's mobile phone. Yang Ming took it for granted that it was Zhao Ying's mother calling. He took the phone to Qin Mengyan's room and picked it up. Hello? Yang Ming, it's me. I am Zhao Ying. Zhao Ying's voice came from the phone. What? Sister, it's you. How are you? Are you in the hospital now? Yang Ming quickly asked with concern. What hospital am I in? I'm watching the Spring Festival Gala at home. Why would I be in the hospital? Zhao Ying said helplessly, It's all because my mom told you nonsense. Nonsense? So you weren't injured by the neighbor's child's firecrackers? Asked Yang Ming. What? At this time, everyone is watching the Spring Festival Gala at home. Who would go out and set off firecrackers? Zhao Ying said, Besides, I am an adult. How can I not pay attention to safety? How can I go in front of the firecrackers? Sweat. Yang Ming breathed a sigh of relief. It really scared me. Mengyan and I had to buy tickets to see you. I'm sorry. I've troubled you, Zhao Ying said softly. Forget it. It's good that you are fine. Yang Ming said, But Auntie's joke is a bit too much, right? In the end, it was her mother who answered the phone. That person wasn't her mother at all. Qin Mengyan said angrily. Not her mother? Then who is it? Qin Fei was a bit puzzled. It's a liar. He has nothing to do. Qin Mengyan said, When I called Teacher Zhao Ying, I accidentally dialed the wrong number. In the end, it was a middle-aged woman who answered the phone. I said that I was looking for Teacher Zhao Ying. In the end, this woman told me that she was Zhao Ying's mother. Zhao Ying was injured by firecrackers. It was all her nonsense. Then how did you know that she was a liar? Qin Fei continued to ask. Later, this woman's son called back to Yang Ming. It was just now. He apologized to Yang Ming. He said that his mother was old and like a child. She liked to joke and asked us not to mind. Qin Mengyan said. It turned out to be like this. It was a false alarm. Yang Dahai said, it's fine as long as it's fine. Dad, do you think that the woman before is considered breaking the law? Qin Mengyan naturally had to act seriously. Breaking the law. This is hard to say. Even if it was found, at most, it would be criticism and education. Forget it, Mengyan. It is said that old children are old children. Since there is such a sentence, it means that the old people are similar to children. Qin Fei said with a smile, besides, you are missing one. She must be from Al City. How can I find her? Is it because of this matter that I ask my classmate to catch an old lady? That's true. Yang Ming also smiled. Forget it, Mengyan. The most important thing is that teacher Zhao Ying is fine. This is better than anything else. Because the two people said it like it was real, no one doubted the authenticity of this matter. In the view of Qin Fei and Yang Dahai, there was no need to lie about this kind of thing. Yang Ming was relieved. He was relieved to watch TV. Especially when he saw the skit of Zhao Benshan and little Shenyang. The two families laughed happily. At midnight, the New Year's bell rang. Mother Qin stood up and said, Sister-in-law, let's go. We are going to cook dumplings. Eating dumplings in the middle of the night. The dumplings were made in the morning. 6 people couldn't eat much. It was just enough. After eating the dumplings, Qin Fei proposed to go out and set off firecrackers. This was already a custom for many people. They would cook dumplings at midnight and set off firecrackers after eating the dumplings. At this time, the sound of firecrackers could be heard outside the window. A new year had come. After putting on their down jackets, the 6 people took a great earth-red firecracker that was prepared in advance and went downstairs. In the courtyard of the community, there were already many neighbors setting off firecrackers. Most of the people in this community knew each other. When they saw Qin Fei's family coming out, they greeted them warmly. Qin Fei also took the initiative to introduce Yang Ming's family to others. This was also an affirmation of Yang Ming's identity. However, Qin Mengyan was also a college student. It was not surprising that she had a boyfriend. Everyone expressed their blessings. Chapter 594. I'll go and light it. In addition to the elders, Qin Mengyan was a girl, so the task of lighting the firecrackers fell on Yang Ming. You be careful, Qin Mengyan said. Big Ming, you see, Mengyan cares about you. Mom didn't remind you, but she took the lead. Mother Yang smiled. Auntie. Qin Mengyan blushed. What is there to be shy about? You care about Yang Ming, so we are relieved. Mother Qin also smiled and interjected. Yang Ming picked up the firecrackers happily and found a branch to hang it. Then he said, everyone be careful. I'm going to light it. And Qin Mengyan nodded and covered her ears with her hand. Yang Ming picked up the incense in his hand and lit the lead of the firecrackers. Then he ran back quickly. Not long after, the sound of the firecrackers sounded. There was a saying that a fool would listen to the sound of firecrackers, but it wasn't the case. Setting off firecrackers in your own home and watching others setting off firecrackers were two completely different states of mind. Chinese New Year was a festive occasion. If you didn't set off a string of firecrackers, your heart wouldn't be very comfortable. After the firecrackers were set off, they returned home. Although it was more popular to stay up late on Chinese New Year's Eve, there weren't many people who really stayed up late. Most of them went to bed after 12 o'clock. Qin Fei's home had 3 rooms. Qin Fei and Mother Qin shared one. Qin Fei's study room was now a temporary bedroom. Yang Dahai and Mother Yang slept here. However, the problem of Yang Ming's sleeping had become a problem. Although both parents felt that it was fine for Yang Ming and Qin Mengyan to sleep together, if the 2 children wanted something to happen, it couldn't be prevented. What's more, as early as when Qin Mengyan was in high school, Mother Qin found some clues on her little windbreaker. However, although this was the case as adults, they couldn't encourage their children to live together without marriage, right? Therefore, where Yang Ming was going to sleep became a problem. At night, shall I sleep on the sofa? Yang Ming didn't want to embarrass Qin Mengyan too much, so he took the initiative to ask. After all, in this kind of situation, it was not suitable to do other things, so Yang Ming might as well be generous. Since Yang Ming took the initiative to ask, then everything was easy to handle. However, how could Yang Ming be so honest? After everyone fell asleep, Yang Ming tiptoed to Qin Mingyan's room. Originally, he wanted to show off his skill of picking the lock, but he didn't expect that Qin Mingyan simply didn't guard against him. She just closed the door and didn't lock it at all. With a click, the door opened. Unexpectedly, Qin Mingyan was still awake. She was leaning on the bed, reading a women's magazine. When she saw Yang Ming coming in, she frowned slightly. "What are you doing?" "Nothing. I just miss you a little." Yang Ming smiled. "How about I also sleep in your room?" "How can you be like this? Didn't you say that you would sleep on the sofa in the hall? If our parents see you like this, it won't be good." Qin Mingyan complained. "It's fine. I'll just get up early tomorrow morning and then go back to the sofa and pretend to sleep for a night." Yang Ming said. I really don't know what to say to you. You are a hypocrite. I just thought that you were a gentleman." Qin Mingyan sneered. Yang Ming didn't care what Qin Mingyan said. He wore a sweater and got into Qin Mingyan's bed. Qin Mingyan had changed into her pajamas. Her bra and other things were taken off. She was softly attached to Yang Ming's body, which made his heart beat faster. Yang Ming felt a little confused. He wanted to eat Qin Mingyan several times, but he was disturbed by inexplicable external factors. It was really difficult to say. "Not today. Be honest." Qin Mingyan said, "My house's soundproofing performance is not very good. If you don't want to be beaten, then do it." Qin Mingyan immediately shook her head. Yang Ming was helpless. He thought about what Qin Mingyan said. Especially after a woman's first time, it would be difficult for her to move the next day. Yang Ming didn't want to let each other's parents see anything. However, even if they didn't have sex, Yang Ming still had some dirty thoughts. He whispered a sentence in Qin Mingyan's ear. "Why? Now there is no Lan Ling?" Qin Mingyan sneered. "I was wondering how you could bear it. Turned out that you have Lan Ling. Now it's over, right?" When he was in high school, Yang Ming tasted the sweetness in the cinema once. He thought about how to let Qin Mingyan help him again, so he always tried to trick Qin Mingyan into his house with flowery words. However, the plan never succeeded. After going to university, the relationship between the two people became closer. There were more opportunities to be together, but Yang Ming didn't have a similar request. This made Qin Mingyan very puzzled. With the current relationship between the two people, even if Yang Ming asked, Qin Mingyan felt that she wouldn't refuse. Later, she found out that the reason why Yang Ming didn't have a similar request was because he had Lan Ling. He slept with Lan Ling. Did he still need her to help him solve it with her hands? Therefore, when Yang Ming made this request, Qin Mingyan remembered the previous matter again. She was very annoyed. "Lan Ling is gone. Do you still need me? I won't let you get what you want." So she said fiercely, "Why don't you suffocate to death?" Yang Ming also knew that Qin Mingyan was angry in her heart. This matter was indeed his fault, so there was no other way. He could only secretly smile bitterly. Fortunately, after Qin Mingyan mocked him, she no longer scolded him. Instead, she continued to read the magazine. Yang Ming didn't dare to make this request again. He could only hold Qin Mingyan and take advantage of her. However, after a while, Qin Mingyan put the magazine aside and turned off the desk lamp. She didn't say anything, but her small hand went to Yang Ming's lower body. "The land of tenderness, the tomb of heroes." This sentence was not wrong at all. Holding Qin Mingyan's fragrant body, Yang Ming slept very soundly. As a result, he slept until dawn. The two people were awakened by the sound of firecrackers outside the window. Glancing at the alarm clock on the bedside, Qin Mingyan was shocked. "Yeah, it's already 8 o'clock. Why haven't you gone back yet?" Yang Ming patted the back of his head. "This is bad." He used his special ability to look at the living room outside the house. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Qin Fei, Mother Qin, Yang Dehai, and Mother Yang had already woken up. They were sitting on the sofa watching TV. "My parents must have woken up. It's over. It's over." Qin Mingyan quickly took off her pajamas. She didn't have time to avoid Yang Ming. In front of him, she put on her underwear and put on her coat. Yang Ming looked at her and drooled. "Wow, her figure is so good. I didn't see it. Qin Mingyan's figure is much fuller than it was a year ago." From a young girl in the past, she had become a young and beautiful woman now. At that time, Yang Ming had just obtained his special ability and caught a glimpse of Qin Mingyan's figure. Yang Ming also made a comparison with that time. Don't worry. I can hear the sound of the TV. Yang Ming also put on his clothes. Really? Aren't you trying to kill me? Qin Mingyan said with a sad face. What should I say later? However, at this point there was no other way. Yang Ming could only brace himself and say, I will say that I woke up early and came to talk to you. Up to you. Qin Mingyan was also helpless. What was the use of being angry? The two people went out of the room. Although Yang Ming awkwardly said the words that he had prepared before, it was a bit of a confession. Yang Dehai glared at Yang Ming fiercely. Qin Fei also looked at Yang Ming strangely. On the first day of Chinese New Year, it was the day for relatives and friends to visit. Qin Fei's friends and colleagues would come to visit. Yang Ming's family wasn't very good here, so after breakfast Yang Ming's family said goodbye and left. Along the way Yang Dehai kept scolding Yang Ming. How can you kid do this? This is someone else's home. You went to someone else's daughter's room. What would Qin Mingyan's parents think? What would they think of you? Your mother and I have lost face with you. Okay, old Yang. Mother Yang waved her hand and said, forget it. The children's matter can't be explained clearly. What's the use of you scolding him? But this is also good. The two children have a reality. This matter is really settled. Otherwise, I am afraid that people will look down on us. You see, Brother Qin is a division leader, and sister-in-law is also a senior executive in a company. What about our family? During Chinese New Year, people are queuing up to visit other people's houses. Who would come to our house every year? Mom, what are you talking about? When Yang Ming heard this self-deprecating words, he was a bit unwilling. He said, what's wrong with our family? I think it's good. You can rest assured. Sooner or later there will be people queuing up to visit both of you. Oh, I know you are promising. Mother Yang listened to Yang Ming's words and smiled. Mom is most proud of having you as a son in this life. Chapter 595. He said that his house was deserted, but today someone came to his door. Yang Ming's family returned home. Before they sat down there was a knock on the door. Yang Dehai was still very puzzled. He said to Yang Ming, who is this? Coming on the first day of Chinese New Year? Could he be your classmate or something? My classmate? Yang Ming was also very puzzled. My classmate, other than Zhang Bin and Qin Mingyan, no one else knows our address? Yang Ming looked up at the direction of the door. He couldn't help but be surprised. The people who came were actually the factory director and the union president of his father's factory. What's going on? These people have never come to Yang Ming's house. Could it be that it's a popular trend for leaders to give New Year's greetings to employees? Dad, maybe it's your colleague? Yang Ming hinted a sentence. My colleagues? Yang Dehai shook his head and turned to open the door. Who is it? Old Yang, it's me, Old Liang from the union. Factory manager Feng and I are here to see you, said the union president, Liang Yanjun. Yang Dehai was immediately shocked. He quickly opened the door and saw the smiling factory manager Feng Wanjiang and chairman Liang Yanjun. He said with some fear and trepidation, Factory manager Feng, Chairman Liang, why are you here? Isn't it Chinese New Year? Factory manager Feng brought me to greet the excellent employees in the factory. Old Yang, you are also an old man in the workshop. You are good at work and your reputation is very good. The factory director and I came to your place first, said Liang Yanjun. So that's the case. I'm so sorry to let factory manager Feng and chairman Liang come in person. Come in and sit. Yang Dehai said very happily. Hey. Feng Wanjiang said, then I will sit with old Liang for a while. Old Liang moved the things in. Hey. Liang Yanjun nodded. He walked to the door and moved a box of fruits in and a bag of swordfish. You see, what are you doing? There is no shortage of things at home. I'm very happy that you came to see me. Yang Dehai was at a loss. Usually it was the employees who gave gifts to the leaders. When was there a leader who gave gifts to the employees? Old Yang, you are an outstanding worker in the factory. As leaders, we naturally have to express our concern. Feng Wanjiang said, also this is a 200 yuan Songjiang Zinmate supermarket shopping cart. You can go and buy some New Year's goods. This can't be done. I can't accept this. Yang Dahai quickly declined. Factory director, what happened to you today? What's wrong with that? This is the welfare provided by the union. Just take it. Liang Yanjun also interrupted. Old Yang, this is the welfare that you outstanding employees deserve. Right then. I'll accept it. Thank you, Factory Manager Feng and Chairman Liang, for your concern. After Yang Dahai received the shopping cart, he quickly thanked them. Mother Yang poured tea for Feng Wanjiang and Liang Yanjun. The two of them quickly thanked her, making Mother Yang somewhat uncomfortable. Why did he feel like it was the opposite? Her own old Yang was like a leader, while Factory Manager Feng and Chairman Liang were like soldiers who came to give their New Year's greetings to the leader. Even Yang Ming, who was watching the TV at the side, was also confused. Aren't these two people a bit too humble? Generally, even if the leader came to express his concern, it wouldn't be like this, right? Why do these two people look like they are here to ask for help? After chatting for a while, Factory Manager Feng suddenly sighed and said, "AI, our factory is also quite difficult. There are hundreds of workers in the factory. The wages are already difficult, let alone bonuses." Yang Dahai didn't expect Factory Manager Feng to lead the topic to the current development of the factory. He was a little shocked. He didn't understand what the factory director meant, but listening to this tone, it seemed that he was complaining to him, so he quickly said, "Since the factory has difficulties, then I can't take this shopping cart. This apple and hairtail are also the same. My family's living conditions aren't very difficult. Factory director, you should take it to other employees who have difficulties. Of course, your family has no problem." Factory Manager Feng said a sentence with a smile and then said, "Compared with the number of workers in our large factory, this thing is simply a drop in the bucket. It can't solve any problems at all." Yang Dahai didn't understand the meaning of Factory Manager Feng, but he still said, "If you can solve it a little, then it's a little, right? Old Yang, let's not beat around the bush." Factory Manager Feng waved his hand and said, "Old Yang, you are also an old worker in the factory. You have worked in the factory for more than 20 years. You should be very clear about the current situation of the factory, right?" Yang Dahai didn't understand, so he nodded in doubt. He knew the situation in the factory. It was getting worse and worse. Songjiang Bus Factory in the 1980s was a good enterprise. The buses it made sold well all over the country, and even exported to neighboring countries such as North Korea. At that time, the buses, trolleybuses and motorcycles running on the streets were all produced by Songjiang Bus Factory. The commuter buses of major enterprises and institutions in the northern provinces were also Songjiang buses. Could be said that it was famous at that time. However, with the progress of the times, the practice of Songjiang Bus Factory's closed-door bus manufacturing was obviously eliminated. With many bus manufacturing enterprises introducing imported production lines, the buses of Songjiang Bus Factory seemed to be a lot older. Not only the style was not good, but the craftsmanship could not keep up with the development of the times. Gradually, the bus market was replaced by brands such as Dongfeng, Jinlong and Huanghai. Songjiang Bus Factory's annual bus production was now less than 100 units, and they were all sold to remote mountainous areas. Obviously, they didn't have the advantage in performance and appearance, so they could only suppress the price. In fact, in the country, there were several car manufacturing enterprises that were in a similar situation as Songjiang Bus Factory. In order to survive, they could only play the price card. Therefore, the profit of this kind of low-end bus was pitiful, and the sales were not optimistic, so it was almost impossible to support such a large factory. The wages of the workers were also intermittent. When a batch of cars were sold, some money was given. If they couldn't be sold, they had to hold on. So, it's hard for me to be the factory director. I can't even have a peaceful Chinese New Year. Just before the Chinese New Year, I went to several departments to ask for emergency wages. I persuaded the government to buy a few of our buses to solve the urgent situation. Factory Manager Feng shook his head. Factory Manager Feng, you have worked hard. We all know that you are a good leader who thinks for the factory, but what is the use of you saying these words to me? Yang Dahai hesitated and said, "Old Yang, are you part of our Songjiang Bus Factory?" Factory Manager Feng said, "You don't want to see the Songjiang Bus Factory go bankrupt, right? This is natural." But Yang Dahai still didn't understand what Factory Manager Feng wanted to say. When Yang Ming heard this, his heart moved. This factory manager Feng wouldn't really ask my dad to do something for him, right? So he couldn't help but pay attention to the situation here. Old Yang, only you can help our factory now. Feng Wanjiang slapped his thigh and said, Old Yang, you see. Why isn't our factory as good as other factories? In the end, it's because of the backward technology. The buses that we produce are rarely used by people. The universal parts that we produce simply can't be sold. It's difficult. Me? Help the factory? How can I help? Yang Dahai was inexplicable. Old Yang, now what our factory lacks most is funds. As long as there are funds, we can immediately carry out technical improvements and restart the production line. Then we can launch excellent products. Feng Wanjiang continued. Funds. Factory manager Feng, this seems to have nothing to do with me, right? Yang Dahai asked. How is it not related? Factory manager Feng said, Old Yang, the fate of our factory is all tied to you. You can't just ignore it. What do you mean? Yang Dahai looked at factory manager Feng in confusion. I don't know anyone in the bank. I can't get funds for the factory, right? You don't know the bank, but don't you have a particularly capable big brother? Feng Wanjiang said, Your big brother, President Yang Dashan, is a famous big boss in Songjiang. He invested tens of millions to open an entertainment city. He's rich and overbearing. If he is willing to help our factory can be saved. Moreover, I heard from the retired old factory manager that President Yang used to be an employee of our Songjiang bus factory. Our bus factory can be considered as President Yang's maiden home. Old Yang, can you see if you can lobby from the middle? This. Yang Dahai smiled bitterly. Factory manager Feng, aren't you making it difficult for me? Although my big brother is rich, he can't simply invest. Our bus factory, I'm afraid it can't be started without hundreds of millions of funds. No need, no need. I calculated that day. We can cooperate with other car manufacturing companies. We can only import the production line and provide parts for others. In this way 20 million is enough. Feng Wanjiang said. Chapter 596. 20 million? Yang Dahai shook his head helplessly. Factory manager Feng, I'm afraid I can't help you with this. Old Yang, you haven't tested it yet. How can you say that you can't help? Moreover, this isn't for free. We can exchange shares. The shareholding reform of the factory is imminent. As long as it is profitable, it will be a lot of income. Feng Wanjiang said. Factory manager Feng, I really can't help with this. Although Yang Dahai didn't understand it in detail, he also knew that his brother had recently owed a lot of money to the bank in order to set up the entertainment city. How could he take out the spare money to invest in the bus factory? Moreover, this bus factory was simply a bottomless pit. At present, it seemed that no matter how much he invested, it would be a waste. Old Yang, President Yang didn't refuse, but you refused first. Is it because your family is so powerful now that you began to forget your roots? Factory manager Feng was a little unhappy. You should at least ask him first. Why did you reject him so straightforwardly? Factory manager Feng, I am very clear about my family's situation. Although my brother opened the entertainment city, he actually owes money to the bank. This entertainment city was also opened by him and others. How could he have the money to invest in our factory? Yang Dahai smiled bitterly. It turned out to be like this. Today Feng Wanjiang also came prepared. He probably inquired about these things before. What Yang Dahai said was also a fact. He didn't intend to ask Yang Dashan to invest. Yang Dashan's matter was just a prelude. There were other things to be said later. So he continued, You and Yang Dashan are just brothers after all, and you have been separated for many years. Your words may not be useful. This is indeed the case. Thank you, factory manager, for your understanding. Yang Dahai breathed a sigh of relief. He was really troubled just now. Everyone understands each other. If it's your family's matter, you definitely can't refuse. But for your brother's matter, you can't decide, right? Factory manager Feng said with a smile. That is. Yang Dahai said quickly. Feng Wanjiang waved his hand and pointed to Yang Ming. Is that your son? Yeah, my son Yang Ming. Yang Dahai said, when he was young he always came to the factory to play. How old are you? Factory manager Feng nodded and asked with a smile. Oh, 19. Yang Ming was secretly on guard. Who knew what Feng Wanjiang was up to? 19. Not bad, not bad. That rascal of mine is already 25 years old, but he's still muddling along. He's already a postgraduate student and now he's going to study for a doctorate. He's gambling so much that he's lost his mind. I wonder when he'll stop. Feng Wanjiang sighed. Old Liang, how's that rascal of yours? Forget it, don't mention it. He's a fucker. He only knows how to play computer games all day long. He doesn't even work properly at work. I asked someone to find him a public institution and he's just fooling around all day long, Liang Yanjun said. Look, old Yang is really good at teaching his son. Feng Wanjiang said, I can't help but admire him. What's so good about this kid? You don't do your job all day long. Although Yang Dahai said so, who wouldn't be happy to praise their own child? I heard that he's starting a company with his friends, right? The investment is huge. It's a company that sells jewelry. Feng Wanjiang finally got to the point. This was the real purpose of his visit today. He's just making a small fuss. Yang Dahai waved his hand after listening. What small fuss? Jewelry company. I heard that it's a total investment of tens of millions, right? Feng Wanjiang said, this scale isn't small. I'm not very clear. Although Yang Dahai was honest, he also heard the meaning of factory manager Feng at the moment. He wanted to get investment from Yang Ming. I have a friend who is also in jewelry. He told me all about it. Feng Wanjiang said with a smile, Yang Ming, you're really young and promising. You're even better than Uncle. Uncle Feng, you're overpraising me. Yang Ming also felt that something was wrong. Why is it related to me? Yang Ming, now Uncle's factory is in trouble. Can you help Uncle? You see, the jewelry company can be opened at any time, but the restructuring of Uncle's factory is imminent. Without funds, no matter how it is restructured, it will go bankrupt. Feng Wanjiang said very sincerely, moreover, this doesn't mean that the money invested is in vain. The factory can give you shares. If our factory is good, you will make money. Isn't this better than you working hard to start your own business? Yang Ming was speechless. Do you think I'm a child? Can these words coax me? If the bus factory situation is really good, then is there a need to rush around? There would already be companies to acquire or invest. Is there a need to wait until now? However, Yang Ming couldn't say this. After all, the person in front of him was his father's leader. He could only politely refuse. Uncle Feng, my company is run by me and my classmate. How can I just stop running it? Besides, the procedures have been approved and the house has been found. It is impossible to give up halfway. Yang Ming, you are also a child of the bus factory. How can you be like this? Feng Wanjiang pretended to be unhappy. So what if your company is small? The factory is depending on you. I'm sorry, Uncle Feng. Forgive me for not being able to do anything. Investment isn't a game. My money isn't my own. It was given by my godfather. I can't decide what to do with it. Yang Ming shook his head and declined. Old Yang, didn't you just say it? You can decide your own family matters. I won't force you to do anything about your brother's family matters, but Yang Ming is your son. Won't he listen to you? Feng Wanjiang thought, you don't agree? That's fine. As long as I can convince your father, let's see if you invest. Feng Wanjiang subconsciously regarded Yang Ming as a child. Therefore, he believed that as long as Yang Ming agreed, Yang Ming had no reason to object. Yang Dahai was suddenly stunned by Feng Wanjiang's words. Yes, he did say such a thing before, but he didn't expect factory manager Feng to use this as an excuse. Big Ming, you can't just watch this factory go bankrupt for no reason, right? Feng Wanjiang continued, we have so many workers. They are all waiting to eat. Before your family became rich, you can imagine how hard it was to live, right? I think it's okay. Yang Ming said, I didn't feel that I couldn't live before. My life was very happy. Yang Ming naturally couldn't say anything else. He could only say that the situation was good. What's good about it? You kid don't know how expensive the daily necessities are. Chairman Liang said, you ask your dad. Is this life hard? Old Yang, you have to be honest. How is the living standard of the employees in our bus factory? This is really not very good. Yang Dahai sighed and said. Yang Ming shook his head. His father is honest. If he said so, how can I refuse? Indeed, the life of the employees in the Songjiang bus factory was very hard. Take himself as an example. It was a luxury to eat a few dishes in the restaurant. Yang Ming also understood this, but he wasn't a philanthropist. Although he had some money in his hands, he couldn't waste it, right? Look, young man, your father is still honest. Liang Yanjun said. Yang Ming, you can't just ignore it this time. Seeing that Yang Ming's face was very difficult, Yang Dehai didn't feel good. After all, it was related to his own unit, so he said, well, factory manager Feng, let's not talk about this first. I will discuss with Yang Ming later and his godfather's side. Well, then I will trouble you, old Yang. You must succeed. Factory manager Feng saw that Yang Dehai relented and immediately said, then this matter is settled. Old Liang and I will not bother you anymore. As they spoke, the two people stood up and were ready to leave. Feng Wanjiang and Liang Yanjun also knew that this matter couldn't be pursued too closely. It was best to end it here. Old Yang was a person who valued relationships. He had a special feeling for the bus factory, so as long as they did his work, this matter wouldn't be difficult to solve. Factory manager Feng, take care. Yang Dehai got up to send them off, but Yang Ming and Mother Yang didn't stand up. Mother Yang wasn't willing to let Yang Ming invest. Wasn't this money equivalent to wasting it? After Feng Wanjiang and Liang Yanjun left, Yang Dehai just closed the door. Mother Yang said, Old Yang, you can't promise them this. This Songjiang bus factory is simply a bottomless pit. It's useless no matter how much money you invest. Our Big Ming finally has some money and wants to start a business. You can't harm him. I naturally know this. Yang Dehai sighed and sat back on the sofa. But now, what's the but? I'll tell you this, but it's not okay. Mother Yang refused. Don't even think about it. Yang Ming, go back to the house quickly. Don't bother with your dad. AI. Yang Dehai sighed heavily. He picked up a cigarette on the table and put it in his mouth. After lighting it up, he started smoking. Yang Ming was pushed into his room by Mother Yang, but he could still see the scene in the living room with his special ability. His father was smoking and his mother kept scolding him. Yang Ming was also upset. He simply didn't want to participate in this matter. This kind of state-owned factory had too many drawbacks. How could it be improved by investing money? Yang Ming shook his head and simply didn't think about it. He picked up the phone book on the table and prepared to give his friends a New Year's greeting. Although Yang Ming had already sent a group text message last night, he still had to call some of his close friends. Yang Ming first dialed Lu Weishan's number. This was his elder, so naturally he had to give priority. However, the person who answered the phone was actually Xiaoqing. Yang Ming smiled and said, Wife, Happy New Year, Yang Ming. Xiaoqing was stunned and then whispered, Don't talk nonsense. This is the phone number of Dad and Mom's home. Hehe, isn't this the phone call that you answered? It's okay. No one heard it. Yang Ming said. Forget it. Are you calling Dad? Xiaoqing asked. The reason why she asked this was because if Yang Ming was looking for her, he couldn't call Lu Weishan's home phone. He would directly call her mobile phone. And I will give a New Year's greeting to Godfather. Yang Ming said. Hey, you wait. I will call Dad. Xiaoqing said. After a while, Lu Weishan's voice came over. Yang Ming gave a New Year's greeting to him and Chu Huifeng. He also gave a New Year's greeting to Zhong Hanlin and Aunt Zhong, who lived here, before hanging up the phone. According to the degree of intimacy with him, the rest were Sun Jia and Lin Jiun. As for Qin Mengyan, he had just separated from her, so he didn't need to give a New Year's greeting again. Yang Ming first called Sun Jia. It didn't take long for Sun Jia to pick up the phone. Ho, Yang Ming. Hehe, it's me. It seems that you are quite familiar with my number. Yang Ming smiled. Don't tell me that you don't know that the caller ID can show the name in the phone book. Sun Jia said with some anger. Why are you looking for me? Say it. Sweat, do I have to look for you for something? Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. I remember, it seems to be so, right? Sun Jia joked. This time it's really nothing. I just want to give you a New Year's greeting. Happy New Year. Yang Ming said. It turns out to be a New Year's greeting. Happy New Year to you too. Hehe, I just wanted to call you, but you called me first. Sun Jia said. Right, you didn't forget what you promised me before, right? What? Yang Ming was stunned by Sun Jia's question. It's the matter of pretending to be my boyfriend during the New Year. Sun Jia reminded him. Don't tell me you don't want to admit it. Oh, you're talking about this. No problem. Yang Ming didn't care. He was now experienced in pretending to be someone else's boyfriend. It was almost real. He didn't need Sun Jie to do it. It was just that Sun Jie's family was different from Lin Jiyun's parents. Was Sun Hongjun an ordinary person? Yang Ming was afraid that he would be exposed. And then I will call you in a few days. Sun Jie said, I still have something to do so I won't talk to you first. Be prepared. Don't expose me or else you will be in trouble. Yang Ming was speechless. Wasn't it me who helped you? Why are you blaming me when you are exposed? However, Yang Ming couldn't reason with her because Sun Jie had already hung up the phone. After that, Yang Ming called Zhang Bin, Tian Donghua, Ho Zhenhan, Bao Sanli, and others to wish them a happy new year. Finally, he dialed Lin Jiyun's phone number. Why was it Lin Jiyun's turn last? In fact, it wasn't that Yang Ming was biased, but Yang Ming decided to ask Lin Jiyun to go out with him today. After all, his current identity was her boyfriend. It was reasonable for him to go to her house. Fortunately, he spent the new year at Qin Mingyan's house yesterday. Otherwise, he really couldn't be at two places today. Yang Ming didn't call Lin Jiyun's cell phone, but he dialed her home landline. Happy New Year. Yang Ming said to the other side of the phone. The person who answered the phone was Lin Jiyun's mother, Shin Yueping. When she heard Yang Ming's voice, she immediately became enthusiastic. It's Yang Ming. You are also celebrating the new year. Are you looking for Yunair? I will call her over for you. And don't worry. Auntie Shin, are you and Uncle Lin okay? Asked Yang Ming. We're all good. Very good. Since Yunair met you, our family is much happier than before. Shin Yueping smiled and said, You wait. Yunair is coming over. Yunair, the phone call is from Yang Ming. After a while, Lin Jiyun picked up the phone. Yang Ming, are you looking for me? And I wish you a happy new year. Happy New Year. Said Yang Ming. Happy New Year. When Lin Jiyun heard that Yang Ming was only looking for her to wish her a happy new year, she suddenly felt a little lost. Other couples would go to the temple fair together during the new year. Just now, the TV was playing the grand scene of the temple fair in previous years. Lin Jiyun was envious. Coincidentally, Shin Yueping also asked, Aren't you and Yang Ming going to the temple fair? Lin Jiyun didn't dare to answer. Although she was looking forward to Yang Ming asking her out, she also knew that the relationship between Yang Ming and her was just a fake boyfriend and girlfriend. Yang Ming still had another girlfriend, so Lin Jiyun couldn't force anything. Therefore, although Lin Jiyun's heart was full of expectations at this moment, she still didn't ask for anything from Yang Ming. She just said, Happy New Year. I will go to your house in a while. You don't have anything else to do, right? Yang Ming said suddenly. Lin Jiyun was surprised. In a while. Come to my house. And what's wrong? Are you really going out? Asked Yang Ming. Aren't you going to accompany your girlfriend? Lin Jiyun lowered her voice and asked. Aren't you my girlfriend? Yang Ming said very naturally. Lin Jiyun opened her mouth wide and didn't say anything for a long time. What does Yang Ming mean by this? Does he think of me as his girlfriend? Or is it just a casual act? If it's the first case, then what is Qin Mingyan? Lin Jiyun was unconsciously dazzled. This kind of impact of being loved was really a bit strong. Wait for me. I will go over right away. Let Auntie Shin know. Yang Ming smiled. Now he seemed to be able to imagine Lin Jiyun's surprised and cute look. Oh. Lin Jiyun said a word in a daze and then Yang Ming hung up the phone. Of course, if he wanted to put on an act, he had to go all the way. Yang Ming found the couple's vest that he bought with Lin Jiyun in the closet and put it on. When he walked out of the room, he saw that his father was still smoking on the sofa. The ashtray was full of cigarette butts. His mother was probably tired from talking, so she was watching TV and no longer paying attention to his father. Yang Ming suddenly felt a little heartache. Dad is too honest and he values relationships too much. If it were other people, what does the factory have to do with him? If the factory is not good, he has to take out his own money and throw it in? Not only would this not solve the problem of the factory, but people who didn't know would say that this family was stupid. It seems that I can only ask my dad to calm down and think about it. Yang Ming said goodbye to his parents and said that he was going to see a friend. Then he went out of the house. There were very few cars on the street today, but there were a lot of taxis. He stopped a taxi and went to Lin Jiyun's house. Shin Yueping had already gotten the news from Lin Jiyun that Yang Ming was coming, so when Yang Ming knocked on the door, Shin Yueping opened the door. Auntie Shin, Uncle Lin, Happy Chinese New Year. Yang Ming said to Lin Jiyun's parents who were standing in the house. Happy Chinese New Year, come in. It's warm inside. Shin Yueping pulled Yang Ming into the house and then gave Yang Ming fruits and peanuts. You don't have to, Auntie Shin. I don't want to eat. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. What's the difference between this and a son-in-law? He looked up at Lin Jiyun. This girl was also blushing and lowering her head. He didn't know what she was thinking. Hey. Shin Yueping suddenly looked at Yang Ming's waistcoat with some surprise. Then she said in surprise, Yang Ming, why does your waistcoat look so familiar? It seems that Yun Air also has one, right? Is it like this? Yun Air? But Lin Jiyun didn't expect her mother's eyesight to be so good. She could see that Yang Ming's vest was the same as hers. I usually don't wear it many times, right? Chapter 597. Probably, maybe there is one? Lin Jiyun said embarrassedly. Then you quickly find it and change into it. Shin Yueping said, you and Yang Ming should wear the same outfit. There's no need. Isn't it not good to be seen by others? Lin Jiyun didn't want to trouble Yang Ming. She was only Yang Ming's girlfriend in name. If Qin Mengyan, the real girlfriend, saw it, wouldn't she be done for? What's wrong with this? Both of you are wearing couple outfits. Who can say anything? Shin Yueping said disapprovingly, isn't this a normal thing? Go and change into it. Be obedient. Lin Jiyun was helpless. She had to stand up and go back to her bedroom to change. After a long time she was scolded by Shin Yueping again. Only then was she done changing. However, Lin Jiyun, who wore the same style of waistcoat as Yang Ming, was very compatible with Yang Ming. They were really a pair of golden boy and jade girl. They were even a bit like the stars in the advertisements on TV. Uncle Lin, how are you recently? Yang Ming sat on the sofa and chatted with Lin Jiyun's parents. I'm fine. I just don't know what to do. I was almost cheated by Wu Qiren a while ago. I have been resting at home during this time. But I can't stay idle. I'm going to find some work after the spring festival. You said that I'm a man with hands and feet. I can't always stay at home. But it's good to rest for a while. Yang Ming nodded. If you are short of money, you can tell me. I still have some. How can I? Lin Chongqing quickly refused. You have helped our family a lot. How can I trouble you again? Uncle Lin, you are treating me like an outsider. With my relationship with Lin Jiyun, you are my future father-in-law, said Yang Ming. When Lin Jiyun heard Yang Ming's words, she was shocked. She didn't know why Yang Ming said that. Future father-in-law? Was that really the case? Just as Lin Jiyun was in a daze, Yang Ming had ended the conversation with Lin Chongqing. He stood up and said to Lin Jiyun, let's go. Let's go to the temple fair. I saw on TV that it was pretty good. Okay. Lin Jiyun was watching the introduction of the temple fair on TV. When she heard Yang Ming's words, she was immediately surprised and happy. Shin Yueping naturally agreed. He told Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun to have fun. Out of Lin Jiyun's door, Lin Jiyun asked, why are you wearing this? What if others see it? Didn't your mother say that she was fine? Yang Ming smiled. I am fine, but you are not. Lin Jiyun said angrily, I'm worried about you. If your girlfriend sees it, let's see what will happen to you. It's fine. She won't go out today, Yang Ming said with a smile. I deliberately dressed like this to let your mother see how much I value you. AI. Lin Jiyun suddenly sighed. Yang Ming, what do you think we are like this? What should we do in the future? What do you mean by what should we do in the future? Yang Ming didn't quite understand Lin Jiyun's meaning. I mean, you have made my family think that you are my boyfriend. What should we do in the future? Lin Jiyun explained hesitantly with a red face. What do you mean by making them think that I am your boyfriend? Yang Ming blinked and asked knowingly, didn't you ask me to act more realistically? Besides, do you want your parents to suspect that I am a fake? I didn't mean that. Lin Jiyun was somewhat incoherent. Really? I mean, aren't you acting a bit too much now? Isn't it good to be similar? Don't you want this effect? Yang Ming smiled. But, now my parents think that you are very good. They treat you as my husband in the future. Lin Jiyun said anxiously, if this continues it won't be a problem, right? Why won't it be a problem? Yang Ming asked deliberately. Really, you piss me off. Lin Jiyun said with a red face. What should we do about Chen Mengyan? What should we do? What does she have to do with you? Yang Ming said with a blank face. I don't want to talk to you anymore. You really don't understand. Lin Jiyun was so angry that she almost rolled her eyes. Does this Yang Ming really not understand, or is he pretending not to understand? Hehe, I understand what you mean. You mean that the relationship between us is fake after all. If there is a day when the truth is revealed, you can't explain it to your parents, right? Yang Ming said with a smile. So you deliberately pissed me off before. Lin Jiyun subconsciously stretched out her small fist and punched Yang Ming. You are really annoying. However, Lin Jiyun stopped immediately. Her actions and tone were a bit too ambiguous. It would be fine if they were a couple, but the key is that we are a fake couple now. Hehe, I didn't piss you off. I just suddenly realized. Yang Ming made an excuse. Forget it. I'm too lazy to pursue it with you. Yes, I mean this. In the future, what should we do? Lin Jiyun said. Then say that we broke up and you dumped me. Yang Ming deliberately teased Lin Jiyun. You are really not serious. If that's the case, my mom will beat me to death. Lin Jiyun said with a bitter face. I told you that my mom is very conservative. She knows that we are like that. She definitely can't ask me to break up with you. Besides, you are so good. Even if I want to break up with you, I need a reason, right? Lin Jiyun said it ambiguously. It was both true and false. She thought that Yang Ming wouldn't think much about it, but in fact Yang Ming understood everything and understood what Lin Jiyun was referring to. You fell in love with someone else? Yang Ming suggested. How am I falling in love with someone else? Lin Jiyun shook her head. Isn't your reason too far-fetched? Why don't you say that I fell in love with someone else and dumped you? Asked Yang Ming. Then my mom will come to you and fight with you. My mom hates unfaithful men the most. Lin Jiyun said helplessly. Yang Ming, can't you say something more feasible? That's all I can think of. Why don't we just say that we broke up peacefully? Yang Ming looked at Lin Jiyun and asked. Besides breaking up, is there no other way? Lin Jiyun sighed. My parents definitely can't accept it. I can only think of these now. Yang Ming said regretfully. Besides these, it's either you die or I die. There is really no other way. It's Chinese New Year. Can't you say something auspicious? Lin Jiyun said angrily. Okay, look at the car in front. It's really nice, said Yang Ming. What does this have to do with Geely? Lin Jiyun was speechless. Yes, that car is a Geely brand. Yang Ming said seriously, Geely Freighter. This car is very good. Lin Jiyun's face was full of black lines. I'm just kidding. Let me think about it. There is always a solution. Yang Ming said, anyway, I'm not in a hurry. Let me think about a moderate way. In fact, Yang Ming had already had a way in his heart, but now wasn't a good time to say it. The way was very simple. That was to let Lin Jiyun become his real girlfriend. Anyway, I have already hinted to Chen Mengyan. Although it wasn't easy for her to accept it, at least there was a possibility. It depended on how hard I work. Lin Jiyun nodded. Now it seemed that this was the only way. The location of the temple fair wasn't far from Lin Jiyun's home. It was near the commercial street. In fact, it was composed of several different markets. In the past, the so-called market was similar to the temple fair. The temple fair was divided into 4 parts: the commercial street, entertainment street, performance street, and snack street. In fact, the 4 streets near the commercial street were temporarily turned into the temple fair. The first day of the new year was the day with the most people at the temple fair. It was very crowded. However, the atmosphere was very lively. In this cold weather, there was still a hubbub of voices. Lin Jiyun followed behind Yang Ming and followed the crowd into the commercial street at the front of the temple fair. Yang Ming looked back at Lin Jiyun behind him. He was afraid that she would get lost in the crowd, so he reached out and held her hand. Lin Jiyun's face was slightly red, but she didn't struggle. She didn't know if Yang Ming was intentional or unintentional, but what could she do if it was intentional or unintentional? The 2 people wore couple outfits, holding hands, and shuttled through the temple fair like other couples. Yang Ming had come to the temple fair once when he was young. At that time his parents brought him. After that he went to school and was busy, so he never came again. However, Songjiang's temple fair was getting better and better. Even the provincial capital, Donghai, couldn't be compared. Chapter 598. However, the current temple fair was completely different from the past. The commercial street was filled with a dazzling array of stalls, windmills, rattles, glass pendants, small jewelry, cow-horn-shaped hats, clown masks, sugar figurines, and so on. There was really everything one could think of. Lin Jiyun and Yang Ming's situation was similar. Although she was a native of Songjiang, she hadn't been to the temple fair for many years. Previously, when she saw the Grand Temple Fair on TV, she was envious. Now that she was in it, how could Lin Jiyun not be excited? Lin Jiyun was a little dazzled. Yang Ming, I want to see if it's okay to sell small jewelry over there? Lin Jiyun saw many girls chattering around a small stall that specialized in selling jewelry. She couldn't help but be a little moved. Everyone loved beauty, especially girls. Lin Jiyun usually didn't buy these things, but this time there was such a rare opportunity. Naturally, she wanted to look at it happily. Okay. Yang Ming nodded. What do you want to see? Do you still need to ask me? It seems like I'm very strict with you. Lin Jiyun didn't care about Yang Ming. At this moment, she was completely attracted by these beautiful little jewelry. These things were actually not expensive, but they were very beautiful. They were sought after by the young girls. How about this necklace? Lin Jiyun looked around and finally saw a crystal pendant necklace. It was said to be a crystal pendant, but it was actually plexiglass. It was just beautifully made. It's very beautiful. Yang Ming nodded. If you like it, then buy it. Okay then. Lin Jiyun really liked this necklace, so she asked the boss who sold jewelry, "Boss, how much is this?" "That, the heart of the ocean, 20 yuan. The boss glanced and said, "It's so expensive." Lin Jiyun frowned. "Can it be cheaper?" 18. "I'll give you 2 yuan. This thing isn't profitable." The boss said, 15. Lin Jiyun felt that 18 was a bit expensive, so she continued to bargain. "If 15 is not enough, I won't make money. 18 is the lowest." The boss shook his head and said, 15. Lin Jiyun said, "No, at least 17. The boss said, 15. 17. Yang Ming shook his head and interrupted, "Must be 17. Ah?" Lin Jiyun was stunned. Is there anyone who bargains like Yang Ming? Yang Ming was also stunned. He originally wanted to say it must be 15, but he didn't expect that he would say it must be 17. Unexpectedly, after the boss heard Yang Ming's words, he said, "It must be 15. A deal." Yang Ming reacted quickly this time and said quickly, The boss only reacted after he finished speaking. Originally, he was arguing with Lin Jiyun about 15 and 17. When Yang Ming said that it had to be 17, he naturally subconsciously said that it had to be 15. As a result, they made a deal. Hee. Lin Jiyun looked at Yang Ming and the boss in front of her. She couldn't help but laugh. Yang Ming really hit the jackpot. It was the first time that she saw such a bargain. Forget it. 15 is 15. The boss shook his head with a bitter face. Next time I won't bring you along. The two of you have different opinions. I'm so confused. Yang Ming also smiled and paid the bill. I was wrong before. I didn't expect you to be wrong with me. Forget it. The boss also smiled. Although it doesn't make money, there is a topic to talk about when drinking with friends at night. This is really funny. Lin Jiyun saw that Yang Ming paid. She originally wanted to say that she would pay, but she didn't have the courage. In the end, she had to leave it unsettled. After buying this small necklace, Lin Jiyun didn't buy anything else. Most of the time she just looked at it. After coming out of the business street, it was the entertainment street. The activities here were even more varied, but they were all fun activities such as darts, goldfish fishing, ring throwing, rock climbing, and so on. In the entertainment street, the game coins were used. The game coins were exchanged at a special store at the end of the street. All the entertainment activities inside could be played with different amounts of game coins. She didn't know how the organizer calculated the bill with each stall, but this had little to do with Yang Ming. The game coins were 2 yuan each. Yang Ming directly bought 100 yuan. A total of 50 game coins, and then he entered the entertainment street with Lin Jiyun. Why did you buy so many? It's really a waste. Lin Jiyun shook her head with some distress. 100 yuan was a lot for her. It was the income of 2 tutoring sessions. It's not easy to come out to play during the Chinese New Year. Naturally, I have to play to my heart's content. Hehe. Yang Ming said, "Anyway, we have already exchanged. Let's play." Lin Jiyun couldn't stop him. She could only let Yang Ming go. Look, there's so many people over there. Lin Jiyun pointed to a game stall not far away. Let's go and see. Yang Ming nodded. He and Lin Jiyun squeezed to the front. It turned out that this was similar to a fishing game. There were many people participating and it looked very interesting. Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun looked for a while and roughly understood the rules of the game. The game merchant placed 4 rows of small bags on the counter. There were 10 bags in each row. There were a total of 40 bags. Inside the bags there were many plush toys and prizes. However, in these bags there was a bag that contained a red card. As long as you caught the bag with the card inside, you could get a super big bear cub. The bear cub was a special limited edition of a very big pony bear. It wasn't sold on the market at all. Only a few sellers sold it on Taobao, but the price was extremely expensive. It generally cost 700 to 800 yuan. Therefore this prize was still very tempting. Moreover, the business projects of the temple fair were supervised by the Industry and Commerce Bureau. The game merchant couldn't cheat. Therefore there must be a red card in these bags. For those bags without cards they could only get the plush toys in the bag. Most people got small plush toys. From the morning until now no one had caught a red card. Do you want to try? Yang Ming saw that Lin Jiyun seemed to be very interested, so he asked. I want to, but I'm afraid I can't catch a red card. Lin Jiyun said with some worry. How can this thing be so easy to catch? Yang Ming smiled and said, you see, so many people didn't catch it, right? Because after everyone caught it once, the waiter would fill another bag and then casually change the order and put the bag back, so there was basically no trick. Fortunately, 10 game coins could be caught once. It wasn't very expensive, only 20 yuan. Those who couldn't catch it would be treated as entertainment. Boss, let's play once. Yang Ming gave the boss of the game stall 20 game coins and said. Okay. The boss asked the waiter to hand the hook of the bag to Lin Jiyun and then taught her how to operate it. Lin Jiyun was very nervous. 40 yuan. If she caught a bag with a card, naturally everyone would be happy. But if she didn't, Lin Jiyun would be a little distressed. The operation was very simple and Lin Jiyun learned it quickly. But when it was her turn to operate, Lin Jiyun hesitated again. She took a deep breath and made up her mind on which bag to catch. However, Yang Ming had already used his special ability to look at the things in the bag. If he didn't use his special ability now, when should he use it? Although he felt that it was a bit overkill, it seemed that his special ability was used to pick up girls, gamble and seduce the beautiful teacher, right? Yang Ming used his special ability to look at all the bags and found that there was only one bag with a red card in the 40 bags. But the position of this bag was very strange. It was in the middle of the first row, just opposite the tourists. Yang Ming pondered a little and understood the key. On the surface, this bag seemed to be placed in the most conspicuous position, and it was also the easiest place to catch it. But this involved a problem of psychological effect. People tend to ignore things that are in front of them. Instead, the bags at the back were the focus of everyone's attention. Because everyone believed that the harder the bag to catch, the higher the probability of a red card appearing. Therefore no one touched this bag when it was placed here. Recalling the scene of a few people playing before, no one touched the bag in this position. However, these were ineffective for Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't care about any psychological hints. These bags were transparent in Yang Ming's eyes. Chapter 599. The game merchants grasped this psychological characteristic and put the red card in the most conspicuous place, but it was also the most unlikely place. Isn't there a good saying? The most dangerous place is the safest place. At this moment, Lin Jiyun finally made up her mind. She wanted to use the hook to catch a bag in the second last row. Wait. Yang Ming quickly stopped her. What's wrong? Lin Jiyun stopped and asked. Let's catch a simpler one. So far away. I'm afraid you can't hook it and drop it again. Then it will be a waste of an opportunity. Yang Ming said. Then what do you think we should catch? Asked Lin Jiyun. This one. Yang Ming pointed to the bag in front of them. This. Can there be a card in it? Lin Jiyun shook her head in disbelief. You are wasting an opportunity. Be good, be obedient. Yang Ming said. Oh. Lin Jiyun listened to Yang Ming's tone that was similar to a lover's. He suddenly felt a little dizzy. He picked up the hook and caught the bag that Yang Ming said. When the bag was in her hand and she opened it, Lin Jiyun couldn't help but exclaim, yeah. We got it. Yang Ming, we got it. Yeah, I told you to be obedient. Look, you listened to me, didn't you? Yang Ming smiled. And Lin Jiyun nodded and happily handed the red card to the waiter. The waiter didn't expect that someone would get a big prize when they just opened in the morning. All the money they earned wasn't enough. But there was no other way. Credibility came first. There were still a few days before the temple fair. If they didn't fulfill their promise on the first day, then they wouldn't be able to do business in the future. What's more, this temple fair was personally supervised by the Consumer Association. The boss didn't dare to be rash. He handed the super big bear to Lin Jiyun and said a few words of blessing. Then the boss put another big prize on the table. It was also a very big toy. Lin Jiyun happily took the prize and left the game stall with Yang Ming. Right, Yang Ming, how did you know that there was a red card in the bag? While she was happy, Lin Jiyun asked curiously. I don't know. Yang Ming naturally wouldn't reveal that he had special abilities. He and Lin Jiyun hadn't reached the level of Shao Qing, so this kind of thing couldn't be said easily. But my guess should be pretty close. How did you guess? Lin Jiyun asked curiously. Why can't I guess? It's actually very simple. Yang Ming laughed. Previously, I observed the habits of many people when playing this game. They always looked at the bags in the second row and ignored the bags in the first row. So I used reverse thinking here. I thought if I were the boss, what would I do? Since the customers were looking at the second row, I would put the red card in the first row. And in the first row, the most unlikely position was the bag that the customer was facing. That was because it was too obvious. Everyone saw it at first glance, but it was also the first to be eliminated. Most people wouldn't think that the bag in front of them contained a red card. Therefore, the most dangerous place was often the safest place. The boss was using this reverse thinking. I'm just reverse engineering it a bit based on his foundation. After Lin Jiyun heard it, she was surprised and impressed. Yang Ming, you're too good. You can even think of this. I also thought of it on the spur of the moment. Yang Ming said, I saw that you were so distressed about the 10 game coins, so I suddenly came up with an idea. Nonsense. Lin Jiyun shook her head helplessly. The two people continued to walk forward. Although there were some small games to play on the roadside because the price was cheap, there were many people waiting in line. The two people didn't wait. These small games were not very interesting and the prizes weren't very generous. Yeah, that's rock climbing, right? Lin Jiyun pointed to a rockery not far away and asked, I saw it on TV. It said that it was a very special game project that was newly launched this year. And I also saw the introduction. This thing is already very popular in the southern cities. We just have it here. Yang Ming nodded. Let's go and see. Okay, Lin Jiyun said. She was also curious about this novel thing that she had never seen before. Following the crowd, Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun came to a large air mattress. In front of the air mattress was a very steep stone wall, almost at a 90-degree angle with the ground. Rock climbing originated in Europe in the 18th century, and it became an independent sport in 1970. Freehand rock climbing referred to the climbing process without relying on any external assistance. It only relied on the climber's own strength to complete the climbing process. Freehand rock climbing required people to continuously complete thrilling movements such as turning, pull-ups, shifting, and even jumping on rock walls at various heights and angles. It combined fitness, entertainment, and competition. It was an extreme sport that was exciting and beautiful. It was called Ballet on the Cliff by rock climbing fans all over the world. Although rock climbing had gradually become a popular outdoor extreme sport in recent years, more and more people experienced unique fun from rock climbing. Freehand rock climbing had extremely high requirements for people's physical fitness, courage, body coordination, and flexibility. For those beginners who had not undergone systematic professional training, it was undoubtedly dangerous. However, the rock climbing here was not so dangerous because the stone wall was specially made so there were no edges on it. Moreover, the people who played the game would also wear special climbing gloves and clothing which would not hurt the body. Even if they fell from above, there was an air mattress to support them. In this way, the risk factor was reduced to a minimum. But even so, there would be accidents. If you fall headfirst, you might get hurt. Therefore, people who participated in this game had to sign an agreement separately. They couldn't participate directly with game coins, but they had to buy tickets and insurance separately. However, the person who climbed to the highest point would also get a very powerful prize. It was a pair of cartoon golden bull necklace pendants made of pure gold. This year was the year of the ox. Moreover, this kind of jewelry was obviously for couples and was very popular. Because rock climbing was a new game project in Songjiang, the boss didn't want to make money. He only wanted to make a name for himself, so he spent a lot of money to make several sets of pendants and awarded them to those who could climb to the highest point. However, the boss really overestimated those who had not played these projects. From the morning until now, there were very few people who could climb half the height. But even so, many people were still eager to try. Not for anything else but to show off in front of their girlfriends. If they could get the prize in person and give it to their girlfriends, it would be a proud thing. In particular, the advertising slogans in TV commercials were very provocative. Are you a real man? Are you brave? This was a game for the brave. The winner would get the prize and give it to his girlfriend personally, and so on. Therefore, when many couples came here, the men would take the initiative to try it. Even if they failed, there was nothing to be ashamed of because everyone was the same. But if they won, they would show their face. Everyone had this idea, so rock climbing was unusually popular. Lin Jiyun naturally saw this TV commercial. When she saw other couples, the men took the initiative to win the prize for the women. She couldn't help but look forward to it. However, Lin Jiyun also knew that this game had a certain danger. She also didn't want to ask Yang Ming to take risks for her. It was a very glorious thing to win a prize for your girlfriend. There were always people who failed in front and there were always new people who rushed up. Looking at the women who cheered for the men above, Yang Ming smiled and asked Lin Jiyun, "Do you want that pair of golden bulls?" Lin Jiyun was stunned and then said, "You mean, you want to participate too?" "Yeah, how about it? If you want it, I will get it for you," Yang Ming said. When Yang Ming said this, many people directly treated it as a joke because many people had said this to their girlfriends before, and the result was that they all failed. This rock climbing seemed to be very simple, but when it was really done, it wasn't so easy. However, that was only for ordinary people. For Yang Ming, this was simply too easy. Not to mention that there were so many safety precautions, there were also good handhold positions on the rock wall. When he was in school, Yang Ming didn't use anything. He climbed Shin Mingyan's dormitory with his bare hands. Chapter 600. It was a very touching thing to win the final prize for one's girlfriend. One by one, the girls were cheering for their boyfriends above, and the boyfriends who were climbing above were working hard to get the most favorite thing for their girlfriends. Yang Ming belonged to the kind of male chauvinist person. When he saw others working so hard, he naturally didn't want to be outdone. He also wanted to get the final prize for Lin Jiyun. Let's not. Lin Jiyun saw a lot of people fall from half the height. Although there was an air cushion below and it was okay to fall, it was scary enough. Lin Jiyun didn't want to ask Yang Ming to take risks. If Yang Ming was really her boyfriend, then it was okay to do so. But what qualifications did she have to ask Yang Ming to do this? Therefore Lin Jiyun was hesitant. After thinking for a long time, she decided not to let Yang Ming take risks. It's okay. Yang Ming smiled indifferently. It's a small matter. You just wait to be envied by other girls later. "Ah, why?" asked Lin Jiyun. "Because your boyfriend can help you get the final prize," said Yang Ming shamelessly. Lin Jiyun blushed and lowered her head. Yang Ming laughed, then went to the registration office and filled in a contract form. The contract was very formal. One needed to fill in their real name and ID number. Otherwise, they would have to bear the consequences if there was a problem. In fact, this contract also included an insurance company's insurance policy. If there was an accident during the rock climbing, they could get a claim from the insurance company. Yang Ming hesitated and left a fake name. It was better to be careful with this thing. If he brought Qin Mengyan or other women here tomorrow, it would be hard to say if they were discovered. Therefore, Yang Ming made up a name of Wang Hu. The ID number was also made up. Yang Ming paid the rock climbing fee of 150 yuan, and then received a set of protective clothing and gloves. In fact, Yang Ming didn't need these things, but in order not to be too shocking, Yang Ming still wore these things. As the people in front of him failed to climb the rock, it was finally Yang Ming's turn. Yang Ming waved to Lin Jiyun and then climbed up the rock wall easily. In order not to let others be suspicious, Yang Ming climbed very slowly. Although Yang Ming could climb up in an instant, it might cause too much attention. Yang Ming didn't need to look back. He could see Lin Jiyun's expression below when he closed his eyes. Hi, it seems that Lin Jiyun is still very concerned about me. She stared at me without blinking. Her face was full of worry and excitement. All along, Yang Ming wasn't sure what kind of feelings Lin Jiyun had for him. Although he initially wanted to compensate Lin Jiyun with an attitude of wanting to be with her, now Yang Ming found that he had fallen in love with this somewhat stubborn and somewhat weak girl. Yang Ming also wanted to go further with Lin Jiyun, but there was no suitable opportunity. Yang Ming was now just Lin Jiyun's fake boyfriend. Although the two people sometimes had some intimate actions, it wasn't too out of the ordinary. It was limited to holding hands. This time, the reason why Yang Ming was so determined to climb the rock for Lin Jiyun to get the final prize was to further determine Lin Jiyun's attitude towards him. He wanted to see if she had him in her heart now. Thinking of this, Yang Ming deliberately shook his foot, pretending that he didn't step on it, and exclaimed. In fact, Yang Ming's hand was steady. He had firmly grasped the position on the rock wall. Although his legs were suspended in the air, there was no danger. Yang Ming didn't look back. He didn't need to look back. He could see Lin Jiyun's current expression with his special ability. Sure enough, Lin Jiyun was so shocked that her mouth was wide open. Her eyes were full of worry. Even her body had begun to move. Once Yang Ming fell, she might rush forward. Pretend to be boyfriend and girlfriend? How can it be so easy to pretend? How many pairs of pretend couples have become real couples in the end? It seems that Lin Jiyun can't be spared. In addition to being happy, Yang Ming couldn't help but be secretly proud. Seems that my charm is good. I actually subdued Lin Jiyun unknowingly. As long as Lin Jiyun's feelings were confirmed, then things would be much easier in the future. Before, Yang Ming wasn't sure if Lin Jiyun had him in her heart, so he had been hesitant and didn't dare to go further with Lin Jiyun. Now it was much better. As long as he took the initiative, Lin Jiyun shouldn't reject him. After confirming this, Yang Ming wasn't ready to let Lin Jiyun worry anymore. His feet that were suspended in the air stepped back on the rock wall and continued to climb up. Lin Jiyun below, on the other hand, let out a long sigh of relief and patted her chest. She was obviously frightened. Lin Jiyun below also had mixed feelings in her heart. She didn't know when it started, but Yang Ming's every move had begun to affect her heartstrings. Just like just now, Lin Jiyun was so worried. She was afraid that Yang Ming would fall. She was really scared. Lin Jiyun didn't know what to do. Just like a song, I fell in love with a man that I shouldn't have fallen in love with. In the beginning, Lin Jiyun kept reminding herself to keep a distance from Yang Ming, but some things couldn't be done just because you said so. Especially emotional things, it was very subtle. Moreover, good feelings and love were produced unconsciously. Suddenly, when you looked back, you would find that there was already a shadow of another person in your heart. Now Lin Jiyun was like this. When she carefully recalled the bits and pieces of Yang Ming, the sweetness, attachment, and happiness all emerged in her heart. Including the awkwardness when they first met, Yang Ming's fury when they met for the second time, these became a sweet witness in Lin Jiyun's memory. It was because of the awkward meeting for the first time that there was a story between the two people. The second time Yang Ming did those things to her, Lin Jiyun had long lost her hatred. Sometimes Lin Jiyun would even think about it. If the two of them did the same thing again, what kind of scene would it be? Although this idea was very shameful, Lin Jiyun did think so. Lin Jiyun wasn't a blank piece of paper. In this kind of environment, especially in some TV series, there were often similar R18 plots. Seeing the couples on TV doing that thing so crazily and enthusiastically, Lin Jiyun had such a shameful idea. However, the current situation was that Lin Jiyun didn't dare to have further development with Yang Ming. The current situation had been unexpected. Yang Ming was a person who had a girlfriend. It was impossible for her to have any relationship with him, so Lin Jiyun could only use this matter to constantly remind herself not to be lost. But what about the actual situation? Sometimes people who were lost didn't feel that they were lost at all. This was the so-called situation where the onlooker couldn't see clearly. Just now, her concern for Yang Ming really reflected Lin Jiyun's current mentality. Lin Jiyun shook her confused head and thought about her future with Yang Ming. She couldn't help but be a little confused. Previously, when she asked Yang Ming that question, she actually wanted to know the answer herself. She even had a little bit of hope that this matter could continue like this. So what if she pretended? What was the difference between pretending to be forever and the real thing? Of course, Lin Jiyun also knew that this was just her own wishful thinking. Sooner or later the truth would be revealed. And that day would be the time for her to break up with Yang Ming. Although there was a lot of reluctance in her heart, Lin Jiyun also knew that Yang Ming was always the boyfriend of the girl named Qin Mengyan, not Lin Jiyun's. Of course, if Lin Jiyun used the past to threaten Yang Ming, she might force Yang Ming to break up with Qin Mengyan, but Lin Jiyun wasn't such a person. Even after so long, she still didn't mention it to Yang Ming because she was afraid that Yang Ming would have a psychological burden on her. Suddenly, there was a burst of exclamation pulling Lin Jiyun's messy thoughts back. Following everyone's gaze, she looked up and saw that Yang Ming was actually leading all the climbers. He was about to reach the top of the rock wall. Ah! Lin Jiyun covered her mouth with her hand and looked at the scene in front of her in disbelief. Yang Ming succeeded. He actually climbed up. Looking at Yang Ming moving up with difficulty, Lin Jiyun seemed to have seen the sweat on Yang Ming's face. Was he really doing all of this for her? Obviously. Chapter 601. Looking at Yang Ming's face that was a little red because of overwork and the sweat on his forehead, Lin Jiyun couldn't help but be a little dazed. Her tears flowed down unconsciously. If Yang Ming was really my boyfriend, how good would that be? As soon as this thought came out, it was an uncontrollable sigh. Yang Ming shouldn't be a heartless person. He wouldn't break up with Qin Mengyan. So my thoughts are a bit too extravagant. Under everyone's envious eyes, Lin Jiyun had to smile bitterly. This happiness that seemed to belong to me was actually very far away from me, very far away. When Yang Ming came down from the rock wall, he used the rope, which was much faster than when he was climbing. When he was climbing, Yang Ming also deliberately made himself look very tired and laborious. At this time when he came down, he tried to show a cautious look. At this time, the organizer of the rock climbing game also appeared in a timely manner. Yang Ming was the first person to climb to the peak, so he could be the target of a live promotion. Congratulations. Young man, you are the first person to climb to the highest point since the beginning of the game. The organizer took a microphone and walked to Yang Ming. He said as he walked, "Who is this young man's girlfriend? Please stand up." Lin Jiyun was stunned. She didn't expect the organizer to have such a request. Just now Yang Ming waved to her and everyone saw it. So at this moment, everyone's eyes were looking at Lin Jiyun. Lin Jiyun had no choice but to bite the bullet and go forward. "Hello, beautiful lady. Your boyfriend has won the ultimate prize of this game for you. How are you feeling now? Can you tell everyone?" As the organizer said this, he handed the microphone to Lin Jiyun. Lin Jiyun really didn't know what to say. If it were other people, they might say something like, "I love you," loudly. But Lin Jiyun couldn't. Her relationship with Yang Ming was a bit out of place. She really couldn't say such words. After hesitating for a long time, she had to say, "I am very touched. Thank you, really. I can see that this beautiful lady is still very reserved. It just so happens that our hero also came down. Let's let him say a few words." The organizer looked at Yang Ming and said. The people next to them looked at Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun in the middle. They were very envious. However, they couldn't do anything about it. Who asked them to be useless and couldn't climb up? This wasn't something that could be achieved by luck, so although everyone was envious, they weren't jealous. Since his skills were inferior, he could only rely on logistics and hard work. Yang Ming took the microphone, then glanced at Lin Jiyun, who was blushing next to him, and said, "I have nothing to say because everything I did was what I should do. Now I will give the prize to my girlfriend." Yang Ming was originally very eloquent. He could talk for half an hour in a martial arts competition, but at this moment he was afraid of being discovered by people he knew, so he only said a few words and ended it. However, these few short words were full of affection for his girlfriend. Hug her." Below, someone shouted, and as a result, other people followed. "Both of you, do you want a hug?" The organizer also joked. Lin Jiyun was somewhat overwhelmed. She was originally forced to come up. She already felt very awkward, but at this time, everyone actually made such a request. Yang Ming didn't care so much. He was eager to have such an opportunity, so he didn't care what Lin Jiyun said and directly hugged her. If it wasn't because he was afraid that things would turn out the other way, maybe Yang Ming would even kiss her. While Yang Ming felt the softness of Lin Jiyun's body, Lin Jiyun's head suddenly went boom, and she was dizzy. Although she had physical contact with Yang Ming in the hotel in Donghai before, that was in private. Now Yang Ming actually hugged her in public. The impact on her was too big. When Yang Ming let go of her, Lin Jiyun was still a little dizzy and didn't know what to do. Everything felt like a dream, allowing her to truly experience the craziness and passion between lovers. Let's continue to look at the front. Yang Ming put the prize handed over by the organizer in Lin Jiyun's hand and said, "Oh." Lin Jiyun followed behind Yang Ming stupidly. Apparently her thoughts were still immersed in the shock just now. Yang Ming wanted to leave here as soon as possible. After all, he was in the limelight just now. If Qin Mengyan knew about it, it would probably be another war. Yang Ming already had plans to have a showdown with Qin Mengyan, but this kind of thing had to be a little more skillful. The effect of being seen and explaining himself would definitely be different. Thinking of this, Yang Ming couldn't help but speed up his pace. Lin Jiyun still hadn't recovered. She held the prize that Yang Ming got in her hand and her heart was filled with emotions. Why? Yang Ming is so good to me and let me lose myself in happiness again and again. Why? It's obviously a fake, but I'm addicted to it and can't extricate myself. Lin Jiyun felt very troubled. What does Yang Ming mean by this? As she thought about it, when she looked up, she saw that Yang Ming, who was in front of her, had disappeared. She was suddenly shocked and blurted out, "Yang Ming, where are you?" Lin Jiyun's mind was full of Yang Ming just now. She suddenly found that Yang Ming was missing. She suddenly felt like she lost something and she was a little flustered. Yang Ming, after quickly walking away from the rock climbing place, said to Lin Jiyun, "How was it? I did what I said, right? I got the final prize, right?" After he finished speaking, no one responded to him. When he looked back, he found that Lin Jiyun was gone. Yang Ming was shocked. "I just walked in front, but I ignored Lin Jiyun behind me. There were so many people, but she actually got lost." Yang Ming frowned. Although this temple fair was lively, there were also some bad guys. Could it be that they saw Lin Jiyun holding the small golden bowl made of pure gold in her hand and had evil intentions? Yang Ming quickly used his special ability to search for Lin Jiyun in the crowd. Thanks to the super function of his eyes, Yang Ming finally saw Lin Jiyun, who was at a loss, not far behind him. Seeing that Lin Jiyun was fine, Yang Ming was relieved and then walked quickly to Lin Jiyun. At this moment, Lin Jiyun was very anxious. It was reasonable to say that she was such an adult and she wasn't a child. Although she got lost with Yang Ming at the temple fair, it wasn't that she couldn't find her home. However, she just felt that something was wrong in her heart. There was a feeling of melancholy and panic. It was like the feeling of not being able to find her mother when she was young. This was a kind of instinctive dependence on family members. Girls rely on their parents when they were young. When they grow up, they rely on their boyfriends. Of course, Lin Jiyun hadn't thought of such a deep problem. Otherwise, she definitely wouldn't know what to do. Just when Lin Jiyun wanted to call Yang Ming, she suddenly felt that her hand was held by a warm big hand. Lin Jiyun didn't resist because she could feel that this hand was so familiar. Yes, it was Yang Ming's hand. Lin Jiyun turned her head and saw Yang Ming, who was standing beside her with a smile at the moment. "Where did you go?" Lin Jiyun subconsciously acted coquettishly. But she didn't notice that her tone was no different from a lover's questioning. "Sorry, I walked a little faster. I only found out that you were lost when I turned around." Yang Ming said apologetically, "You're not afraid, right?" "I'm not." Lin Jiyun naturally denied it, otherwise it would be really embarrassing. Hee. Yang Ming had already seen Lin Jiyun's expression before, but now he just didn't expose it. Let's go to the front and see." Okay. This feeling of regaining what she had lost made Lin Jiyun's mood become very good all of a sudden. And her hand was naturally placed in Yang Ming's hand. She didn't deliberately refuse, nor did she mention this matter. She completely pretended not to know. Yes, sometimes it's rare to be confused. Just muddle along. On the performance street, there were some acrobatic or magic performance groups. This place was completely free. They were all voluntary performances by some drama or film school students. Of course, occasionally, there would be celebrities who would make a guest appearance here to wish everyone a happy new year. Therefore, the performance street was the most crowded. Lin Jiyun and Yang Ming didn't come early, so they could only stand behind the crowd. Yang Ming had no problem. He could see the performance in front clearly no matter how far he stood, but Lin Jiyun couldn't. She looked up and tiptoed, but she still couldn't see the performance in front. Looking at Lin Jiyun, who wanted to see but couldn't see, Yang Ming smiled. Then he squatted down and said gently, "Come on, come up. I will carry you." Chapter 602. Hey. Lin Jiyun looked at Yang Ming in amazement. "Am I being carried by him?" "Hurry up," Yang Ming urged. "Oh." Lin Jiyun looked around and saw that no one was paying attention to them. Then she carefully leaned on Yang Ming. Her chest was attached to Yang Ming's back and there was a strange feeling. Yang Ming enjoyed it even more. He reached out and held Lin Jiyun's butt and carried her on his back. "I want you to carry me too." Not far from Yang Ming, a girl said to the boy next to her. "Why do you have to carry me? Just watch." The boy was very thin but his girlfriend was very strong. "No, you look at other people's boyfriends. They are carrying their girlfriends." The girl obviously didn't want to do it. AI. The thin boy couldn't help it. He had no choice but to lean down and let his girlfriend, who was a size bigger than him, lie on his body. Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun, who were watching this, both covered their mouths and snickered. The combination of the two of them is really a perfect match. Yang Ming smiled. "Why do you say that?" Although Lin Jiyun found it very funny, she still felt that it wasn't very good to see Yang Ming openly commenting on others. "Why don't we be a good match? Why do we have to play this kind of difficult action?" As Yang Ming spoke until here, he suddenly had an evil idea. Then he said, "Come, let's play a more ruthless game." What? Lin Jiyun hadn't reacted yet. She felt that her butt was held up by Yang Ming's powerful hand until it was at the height of Yang Ming's shoulder. She couldn't help but panic. "What are you doing?" "Nothing. Come sit on my shoulder." Yang Ming held Lin Jiyun's legs forward and let her ride on his neck. Lin Jiyun suddenly blushed. "This is a bit too intimate, right? My private part is attached to Yang Ming's neck. Isn't it a bit too much?" "That's not good, right?" Lin Jiyun said shyly. "What's wrong with that?" "You mean them?" Yang Ming pretended not to understand and said, "If they want to imitate, then let them. We didn't force them to imitate." This is called Jiang Taigong fishing, those who are willing to take the bait. Lin Jiyun didn't know whether Yang Ming really didn't understand or not, but seeing that Yang Ming didn't agree, she didn't say anything more. Sure enough, when the girl over there saw Lin Jiyun riding on Yang Ming's shoulder, she immediately followed suit. She argued with her boyfriend for a long time. In the end, her smaller boyfriend finally compromised. However, at the moment the girl sat on him, the boy below suddenly lost his balance. With a bang, the two people fell to the ground together, causing a burst of laughter. Yang Ming laughed even more, but in order to prevent the recurrence of the tragedy, he still carefully supported Lin Jiyun, so that she wouldn't fall because he laughed too much. Lin Jiyun also covered her mouth and couldn't help but laugh. She laughed for a long time and said, "Yang Ming, you are so bad. What does this have to do with me? They don't have that figure but they want to play with such a badass style. It would be strange if they didn't fall." Yang Ming looked like it had nothing to do with him. After watching the show on the street for a while, Yang Ming and Lin Jiyun left. Originally, Yang Ming still wanted to leave like this, but Lin Jiyun wasn't willing. It couldn't be helped. Yang Ming had to put her down. "Right, you still have some game coins that haven't been used, right?" Lin Jiyun suddenly remembered that Yang Ming still had some game coins in his pocket. "If he didn't mention it, I would have forgotten." Yang Ming put his hand into his pocket and touched it. Then he said, "There are still 30 coins. Let's return it. Otherwise it will be a waste." Lin Jiyun was a very careful girl. She didn't like to be extravagant and wasteful. Although she knew that Yang Ming was very rich and didn't care about this, she still liked to be careful. Yang Ming nodded. Anyway, the entertainment street was not far behind. It wasn't far. The two people turned and walked to the back. However, when they arrived at the place where the entertainment street sold game coins, they were told that once the game coins were sold, they couldn't be refunded. It turned out that in the entertainment street, there were several games where the reward was game coins. If the game coins could be exchanged for money, then it was a bit like gambling. It couldn't be helped. Yang Ming said to Lin Jiyun, "If you don't want to return it, then don't return it." Then let's play some games. And Lin Jiyun saw that the game coins couldn't be returned. She could only do it according to Yang Ming's words. The two people just wanted to spend the game coins, so they just stopped at the nearest dartboard stall. I want to try this, Lin Jiyun said to Yang Ming. Yang Ming nodded quickly, then gave the boss 5 game coins and bought 10 darts. The rules of the game were very simple. Use the darts to shoot at the balloons on the template over there. The more you hit, the better the prize. Of course, if you didn't hit one, there would be no prize. The prizes ranged from an ordinary ballpoint pen, a couple's keychain, to the best Swarovski crystal brooch. There were all kinds of prizes. However, the gap between each balloon was very large. It was difficult to hit all 10 balloons, but it was also difficult to miss one. Therefore, almost everyone had a prize, but very few people got the best one. Lin Jiyun took the darts and began to throw them. Unfortunately, after 10 darts were shot, only 3 darts were hit. The prize was a pair of keychains. If it was bought in the wholesale market, it would only cost about 3 yuan. This was equivalent to the boss earning 7 yuan. Therefore, this kind of game generally earned more than lost. Do you want to play again? Yang Ming didn't care about what the prize was. The key was that Lin Jiyun was happy. Let's not play again. I don't know how to play. Lin Jiyun felt that it wasn't worth it. Although it was fun, the prize was too bad. If we don't play, the game coins are useless. Just use them all, Yang Ming said as he handed the remaining 20 game coins to the boss. He bought 4 rounds of darts, a total of 40 darts. Seeing that Yang Ming had paid the game coins, Lin Jiyun had no choice but to continue playing. However, the next round was a little better. She hit 5 darts out of 10. The prize was a cup. Although it was less than 10 yuan, it was at least better than before. However, for the third round, Lin Jiyun's luck was a little worse. She still only hit 3 darts out of 10. The prize was still a pair of keychains. Lin Jiyun sighed and handed the remaining 20 darts to Yang Ming. You should do it. I can't do it, hee. Yang Ming smiled and took the darts. Then he asked, what do you want? What do you want? Lin Jiyun asked, baffled. I'm asking you what prize you want. Yang Ming explained with a smile. Isn't this prize based on the number of balloons hit? You haven't shot yet. How can you choose the prize? Said Lin Jiyun. Which prize do you like? I will hit it a few times. Yang Ming smiled indifferently. Then I said that I want the Swarovski crystal. Is that okay? Lin Jiyun thought that Yang Ming was joking, so she went along with it and made a joke. Unexpectedly, Yang Ming said seriously, okay, no problem. These balloons, TSK. Yang Ming didn't know what to say. They were so close to him and the darts were so heavy. Wouldn't it be easy to hit them? Even if they were a little further away and the darts were lighter, Yang Ming would still hit them. Even if he wasn't afraid of causing a sensation, Yang Ming could throw 5 darts at the same time. However, Yang Ming still picked up a dart and threw it out in a low-key manner. It hit a balloon. The second one was the same. After that, every dart would hit a balloon. When the last dart was thrown, Yang Ming smiled and turned to Lin Jiyun. How was it? I didn't disappoint you, right? However, Lin Jiyun, who was watching from the side, was completely dumbfounded. No way. Is this possible? Could it be that Yang Ming is a legendary martial arts master? Otherwise, how could he be so accurate? The owner of the dart stall was sweating profusely. Although it was his first day setting up a stall on the entertainment street, he had been setting up a stall in the amusement park for many years. He had not encountered many people with such accuracy like Yang Ming. However, this was fine. At most, he would lose a crystal. However, Yang Ming still had 10 darts in his hand. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.